Hey y'all, I'm I-78. Hope you guys are having a good afternoon. We had a little bit of a break from our last stream. We are now awaiting uh former President Donald Trump to come out, and he is going to have a press conference, going to answer a few questions. So we're going to see what he got to say, y'all. Get a little bit of sound going.
Ready for this? Almost 50%, 46.8% to be exact. Baby formula, something that's a necessity for babies.
It's not a
Baby
necessity.
formula is up 30.1%. Astounding. Now, remember when you used to go to school, and maybe you still do, you maybe have kids that are in elementary school. Remember when it used to be easy to just go get your school lunch and you had a couple dollars and that was it? Well, now they're up 65.5%. And the apple juice, 23.2%. General and baked products for bakeries like cookies and white bread, cereal, all of these things, you're looking at 27.3% just on cookies alone. Baking goods, 30.9% on butter and margarine. Flour, 37.5% up. It's unbelievable. Just unbelievable. And it's not going to get any better, guys. I wish I could say it would. But this is the reality, and I'll tell you, we need to see a change. All right, we see it looks like it's happening any moment now. Things are getting quieter. Secret Service is coming out. I'm hearing a little Michael McDonald on the radio. Yacht Rock enjoyment continues. I appreciate all of you watching us on RSBN. If you want to follow me, I hope you will. Go to Instagram or Truth. I'm at Nick Stanz, Nikstanz. Nick Stanz, Nikstanz. That's how you can find me on Instagram and on Truth. If you want to find me on Twitter, now known as X, I'm at Nikki Stanzione. Same on TikTok, Nikkistanzione. And I sure hope that you will come out and follow me and interact with me. I love to hear from all of you, and I love to share any information that I can with you as well. It's my pleasure to be able to cover for you and be here at RSBN, bringing information that a lot of the other networks are not bringing to the public. And I love interacting with all of you on the YouTube chat, on the RSBN page. It's so much fun to hear all of your wise words and your enthusiastic feelings and opinions. Thank you all for that. It means a lot to all of us to have your support. And we are just moments away, just a few moments left before President Trump makes his way onto the stage, if you will, the stage.
I need to come to a consensus about this door.
Okay, and here I believe we're getting much closer, obviously. It's getting ready to come on out. Just moments away. You can see all the food. And you know, how many of you could actually go to the supermarket and go buy all these packages of bread and all these packages of condiments and cookies and baked goods and soup and apple juice? You used to be able to buy things in bulk. And it wasn't so hard, but nowadays it's a whole different world that we're living in. It sure is, and we got to make a change.
Absolutely.
I hope that everyone who's watching right now is ready to hear some answers. You know, I want to remind everybody about yesterday. You know, President Trump highlighted how Kamala Harris broke our economy. And this speech was following inflation data, which showed us the gas prices up 50% since she took office. Credit card debt, of course, ballooning in this economy as well. She's claimed it works. But how many of you are suffering with credit card debt right now? Do you feel richer now than you did before when Donald Trump was your president?
No.
I want you to really consider that and think about how he's going to target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs. He talked about it yesterday. He's also going to deal with the price of prescription drugs. He's also instructed his cabinet that he expects results within the first 100 days or much sooner than that. We just got a 3-minute warning, everybody, 3-minute warning of President Trump's arrival. So in 3 minutes, he will be coming out. Also reminding you that yesterday, some of the other things that we heard from President Trump was that the radical liberal policies have caused not only horrific inflation, but decimated the middle class, gutted finances of millions and millions of American families. We don't want to have to pay the price anymore.
When he comes out, you're going to move.
Of course. I also want to remind everybody about a few other things which are really important to keep on target with, which is what you're paying at the gas pump. Remember when it was $1.87, back when it was $1.87 to get gas. Things were very different back then, and it would be nice to get back there, wouldn't it? All right, we are about to go. I am going to have to move in just a moment, guys, just to let everybody know. We are just about a 2-minute warning. But I will tell you before we go any further, I just want to remind everybody once again about Birch Gold. Make sure that you are texting Trump to 989898. Make sure that you take advantage of the new free Trump silver coins. These brand new one-of-a-kind silver coins feature President Trump raising his fist. You don't want to miss your chance to own a special piece of history. It's a celebration of a leader dedicated to our security and in precious metal coins. You can secure your savings today to get your free Trump silver coins. It's only happening in August for those free silver coins. And of course, remember, you want to get in touch with our friends at Birch Gold Group so that you can own physical gold. Just text Trump to 989898. It's that simple. And I hope that you take advantage of that opportunity, because here at RSPN, we try to give you as many opportunities as possible. And we hope that you'll have that chance to take advantage of our amazing sponsors and the information that we offer to all of you. It's wonderful. This is a lovely day. Just as the song says, it's a lovely day, beautiful day here in New Jersey at Bedminster. And we are thrilled to be able to be a part of this moment in history as we continue to see press conferences and moments from our president.
Hey, Dover. Yeah, we're going to have free speech until you get out of order.
When I think about what's happening in our world right now and how hard it is to afford gas, food, energy, homes, I don't want it anymore. I know a lot of you feel the same way, and it's got to change, and it's got to change sooner than later. And under a President Trump administration, it absolutely will, and it absolutely can. And here we go.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Bees.
Nice to see
Thanks
you.
for stopping by.
We have a lot of interesting things to talk about, and we have some very specific things. So we'll take our time. We have plenty of time. I think you have plenty of time. I hope you like the weather. It's very nice. Nice place. Nice location. And I do thank you for being here. And we don't have very much heat, so I'd say it's perfect weather for this. The rain is not imminent based on the fact that there are no clouds. So it's really nice. It's really nice. And let's go over some big facts and some very substantial truths about where we stand as a country, because we're a failing nation because of the way it's been run for the last 3.5 years. We're a failing nation. People are coming into our country by the millions and millions and millions. We have no idea who they are or where they come from, but we're also a failing economy. Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy, broke the border, and broke the world, frankly. Very destructive to the entire world, because as we go, oftentimes the world goes. She destroys everything she touches. And if she wins, your finances and your country will never recover. You're never going to recover. A radical left person wants to put price controls all over the place, which will end up driving up your prices, not down your prices. Harris has just declared that tackling inflation will be a day one priority
Things we can
for
only
her. It's
hope.
going to be day one.
We can only
But
hope.
day one, really, for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Where has she been? And why hasn't she done it? Why hasn't she done it? I hear her complaining all the time. She was the border czar, but she didn't do anything. It's the worst border czar in history. There's never been a border czar so bad. She's been unbelievable in terms of her badness to some of our allies, some of our great allies. You know who I'm talking about. Here is the record of economic calamity that Kamala is desperate for voters to ignore. She cast the tie-breaking votes that caused record inflation. She cast the votes. She's trying to blame Biden, as you know. So it was Biden, but I'm going to do a better job. But it was her. And if she wants to do a better job, she's still got 5 months
You
left.
mean a
right?
great leader?
But she can't do a better job because she doesn't know how to. And she's of a place in life where she wouldn't know what a better job is. Going to destroy our country. And as a result of Kamala's inflation price hikes, they've cost a typical household a total of $28,000. These are numbers coming from government. They're not coming from me. $28,000 she's cost the typical household. Kamala's inflation nightmare continues to cost the average American family $1,100 every single month. $1,100. Again, government numbers. You're paying $148 more a month on food. It's every month. Average family. Because Kamala
over here, because I know how to cook.
And her ideas, and Joe Biden too. I mentioned him, but he's sort of gonzo. It all started with the debate. I should have been a little bit easier. Somebody said your debate performance was horrible. I said, why? Because you forced him out of government. But I believe she'll be just as bad. I believe she's maybe in many ways going to be worse because he wasn't really a radical left, but she is. She's real. He wasn't real. So I think she's going to be, in many ways, easier to beat than Joe Biden. What they did to him was disgraceful, by the way, and it really is a threat to democracy. It was a coup by people that wanted him out, and they didn't do not the way they're supposed to do it. $129 more on energy and $241 more. This is all per month on rent. So you have that 148, 129, 241, and then many other increases. You add it all up, it's thousands and thousands of dollars that she and he have cost people. The cost of a typical monthly mortgage has doubled since I left office, and that number was about 3 months old from government, and now it's tripled. We had mortgage rates at around 2%, close to 2%, and they're now at 10%, and you can't get a mortgage. So that means it's a lot higher than 10%. I guess it is whatever they want to give over the money, and that's a lot more than 10%. So when you think about double, they've actually quadrupled or more than that. Think of that, quadrupled, which really kills the American dream for young people. Young people are being devastated by what they've done to our country. Grocery prices have skyrocketed. Cereals are up 26%. Bread is up 24%. Butter is up 37%. Baby formula is up 30%. Flour is up 38%. And eggs are up 46%. And many items are up at much higher rates than that. Now Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price controls. She wants price controls. And if they worked, I'd go along with it too, but they don't work. They actually have the exact opposite impact and effect. But it leads to food shortages, rationing, hunger.
You probably got some
dramatically more inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act, by the way, was a disaster. It's what caused the inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act was a con job. They actually admitted that it wasn't really for inflation that they did it. They don't know why they did it, but they named it the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a very nice name. Got approved based on that. Unfortunately, people didn't understand it. I understood it. I said that's going to cause tremendous inflation, and it did, among other things like energy. She's running on the Maduro plan. We call it the Maduro plan, like something straight out of Venezuela or the Soviet Union. This announcement is an admission that her economic policies have totally failed and caused really a catastrophe for our country. And beyond that, a catastrophe in the world. A little bit unrelated, but not totally unrelated. We have wars breaking out in the Middle East. We have the horrible war going on with Ukraine and Russia. All these things would have never happened if I was president, would have never, ever happened. And they didn't happen. Since Harris took office, car insurance is up 55%, and they just announced it's going to be substantially higher than that within the next week.
Yeah, because I'm confused about we paying
Increases in car
$155 a month on a
insurance.
car.
It's out of control, and insurance generally. Thanks to Kamala's war on American energy, electricity prices are up 32%. Gasoline prices are up 50% and going higher. Meanwhile, real incomes are down by over $2,000 a year. So the incomes for people are down $2,000 on average a year, government numbers. The typical American has seen a 4% pay cut under Kamala and Biden, Crooked Joe Biden. Credit card debt has exploded by 50% under Harris to a record high. It's now at a record high. It's never been anywhere close. Since March, and by the way, people are going to have to start paying that, and it's not going to be a pretty sight for the next period of time. It could be a substantial time. Since March of 2022, the average middle-class household has lost $33,000 in wealth. How about that? $33,000. That's average. In July alone, 350,000 people were added to the unemployment rolls. It's a lot of people. 350,000 people added to the unemployment rolls. And think of that. That's in 1 month. That's in July. Virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. You know that? Most of the job creation has gone to migrants. In fact, I've heard that substantially more than beyond the number of 100%. It's a much higher number than that, but the government hasn't caught up with that yet. But virtually right now, as of the time they did this, virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. Harris gave work permits and Social Security numbers to more than 3 million illegal immigrants to steal jobs from Americans. So think of that. And, you know, they're having a lot of problems with Social Security. I'm going to be the one to save Social Security, but they're having a lot of problems with Social Security because under their system of putting all of these people into it, it's going to blow up and fail. If she's elected, Social Security will fail. It'll be a blow up like you've never seen before. It'll be a bankruptcy of the entire system, probably the nation itself. You don't have to imagine what a Kamala Harris presidency would be, because you're living through that nightmare right now. And it is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And you're going to stop inflation, but we're going to have a crash. And we're going to have a crash like a 1929 crash if she gets in. You saw a gentleman yesterday who got up, one of the top analysts in the world, frankly, and said that if Trump isn't elected, he predicts, and he's predicting you'll have a stock market crash like 1929. He also said the only time and the only reason the stock market has gone up, even though it had some bad moments recently, maybe because it looked like the race was going to be a little bit closer, but I think we'll take a substantial lead. You saw the polls come out today. We're leading in most of the polls.
I think if it was still Joe, he had been saying.
I have a lot of friends over there.
I think it's come in.
I don't think they're reporters, however, are they? This was supposed to be for reporters.
This ain't gonna be no walk away.
Thank you very much.
That ain't happening.
Thank you very much. When I left office, I handed Kamala and Crooked Joe Biden a surging economy with no inflation. The 30-year mortgage rate was around 2%. Gasoline had reached $1.87 a gallon. We actually had many months where it was lower than that. But we hit 187, which was a perfect place, an absolutely beautiful number. Real income surged by more than $4,200 a year when I was president. Harris and Biden blew it all up. If Kamala wins the election, the worst is yet to come. You'll have a real problem in the future because people don't respect her in the world. People don't respect her in the economy. Economists are laughing. They can't even
I
believe
think
this
he
is
know how to
happening
make a
to our
dollar.
country. And she wants
Let
to
me tell you
change
about
a
it,
free
though.
enterprise
You know how to make a dollar.
type country into a communist type country. That's what she knows. She's considered far more radical than Bernie Sanders. That's all you have to know. Far more radical. And she picked somebody that's far more radical than Bernie Sanders. He approved a bill recently, tampons in boys' bathrooms. He wants tampons in boys' bathrooms. It's terrible. It's terrible. But that's the person that she picked. Surprising pick to me. I was shocked. He's also got one of the worst run states. Many people are leaving the state, sixth most. And from her state, she destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed, as the attorney general, she destroyed California along with Gavin Newsom. And she, San Francisco, you know, was a great city 15 years ago. Now it's considered almost unlivable. You can't live there. And what they've done to that great state with the beautiful weather like this weather, they have this weather all the time. And they have the ocean, they have the sun, they have everything good. But what they've done to it is a shame. And she's going to do the same thing to our country. It was the policies. They had a recent article, and I didn't know this, but you're allowed to rob a store as long as it's not more than $950. Has everyone ever heard of that? You can rob a store, and you have these thieves going into stores with calculators calculating how much it is. Because if it's less than $950, they can rob it and not get charged. That was her that did that. Harris is campaigning
That's
on the
crazy as hell,
largest
but it's
tax
actually true.
increase in American history, including ending the Trump tax cuts, one of the largest tax cuts ever in our country's history, and working with families, a gigantic capital gains tax hike they want, and a new wealth confiscation tax. It's called wealth confiscation tax, which isn't going to make all of her supporters, you know, she's got some supporters that are wealthy people because they're stupid people, but they're wealthy people.
And
She said that a 70 to 80% tax rate is, quote, a bold idea that should be discussed and studied. 70 to 80%. She co-sponsored legislation to abolish very popular private health insurance, which 150 Americans rely on, dumping everyone onto inferior socialist government-run healthcare systems with rationing and deadly wait times, while massively raising your taxes. She wants to take away your private healthcare. There are many people in this country who spend a lot of money on private healthcare. It's the best healthcare in the world, by the way, but they want to do it. They worked hard to make money and they want to do it. Under her, you're not going to have private healthcare plans anymore. And you can be a wealthy person or a middle income person, and you want to spend on a really good plan, better than a government plan could be, far better. And you're not going to be allowed. You're all going to be thrown into a communist system. It's a communist system. You're going to be thrown into a system where everybody gets health care. It's, you wait for your doctor like 10 months, 12 months, 11 months. You got to see some of these plans, how they work in other countries. It's disgraceful. So private health care is gone. She wants it out. Now, she could change on that, and she might change on that. She's changed on everything. But I said, why are you changing? I actually was asking somebody that knows her, why is she changing? She had these policies and ideas for years and years and years, and very solid on them. All you have to do is go back and look at your tapes, which many have been discarded because they don't want, discarded by the fake news, because they don't want people to see what she said just a year ago and 2 years ago. I've never seen anything like it. Even my statement on waiters, waitresses, caddies, a lot of great people, people that drive cars, no tax on tips. All of a sudden, out of the blue, she comes out. That was months ago I said that. And she came out and she said, no tax on tips. She could have at least said, you know, President Trump had some great ideas, but one of the ideas was no tax on tips. I think it would have been nice, and people would have accepted that. But she just came out like it was hers, and she never had her. In fact, just the opposite. The IRS is all set up to really go after people that make tips. And they passed legislation and signed executive orders, making it really hard on waiters, waitresses. And that was very recently. That was just before I made the proposal. They were really going after people. So
hi,
they're
Derek.
lying when they say that this is what they want to do because their legislation, which everyone knows, and their executive orders were extremely tough. They also put 88,000 new IRS agents in that can go and harass everybody. She wants to close dozens of existing power plants, causing rollbacks of power in our country. You're going to have brownouts, blackouts, the likes of which you've never seen, and plunging millions and millions of people into poverty. That's going to put them into poverty, and they're not going to have heat. They're not going to have air conditioning. She wants to close dozens of existing power plants, so maybe she'll change that too. But she's got a lot to change. Almost everything she's ever said, she's got to change. Nobody's ever seen, and that's why we're here. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. She wants to abolish coal, oil, and natural gas, 84% of U.S. energy supply. And it's the coal and the natural gas, clean coal, I call it, and oil, natural gas that create electricity. And by the way, I'm a big fan of electricity. If we're going to go with the AI, if we're going to do that, I don't know if you know, but we need twice the amount of electricity currently supplied for everything to the entire United States of America. So to be competitive on AI, I was talking to Elon Musk. We had a great discussion the other night. I agree. And he said a big problem is getting the approvals to create all of that energy, all of that electricity, specifically electricity. And you're going to need that for other forms of modern business too. And I'll get it done, but other people aren't going to get it done. They're not going to be able to get it done. As border czar, and she was the border czar. She was, I don't know if she was proudly called border czar, but that's what Crooked Joe Biden called her. She's the border czar. Everybody said it. And then about 2 weeks ago, she didn't want to be called the border czar anymore. She said, oh, I was never the border czar. It doesn't matter. She was the person responsible for the border. And she never went there. She went to a certain location once, but I would have gone there and taken my family to dinner there. That was not a place that is going to the border, a place with no problem. As border czar, she allowed 20 million people, and I believe it's higher than that. People say 13, 14, 12, 10. But now they're all up to around 12, 13, 14. They have no idea because you have millions and millions of what they call gotaways, the gotaways. Gotaways are people that pour into our country. We have no idea who they are. That's the worst of all. But she allowed at least 20 million people to invade our country, and she wants to give them all citizenship and free government health care and let them raid Medicare and Social Security, which will, again, she will destroy Medicare. She will destroy Social Security. And frankly, there's nothing she can do about it once this happens. There's nothing she can do about it. She called for abolishing ICE. These are great patriots who are tough, tougher than anybody in this audience. Some of those people, I know them over there. Some of those men and a couple of the women, to be honest, they're tough as hell, but they don't want to fight MS-13. I've seen it. They go in. Long Island had a lot. We got them out. But now they're coming back because of weak policy. And because of things that she wants to do, like defund the police. You know, she wants to defund the police. Now, she has since said, no, I don't want to do that anymore. The one thing I see with politicians, they always go back to where they were. She wanted to defund the police, and she wanted to abolish ICE. I was going to say, though, these ICE people are incredible patriots. They're tough as hell. And they go into a pack of MS-13 gang members, the toughest in the world, probably the toughest gangs in the world. They come from different parts of South America, and they want to come in and in Long Island, not too recently, but recently, they carved up with a knife 2 beautiful 16-year-old girls who are walking to school. And the reason
when was the last time the federal government actually prosecuted?
It's very simple, because it's more painful. They wanted to watch them agonize. And these are animals, and we have to get them out of our country, or we have to put them in jail because we don't want them back. Sometimes you have to put them in jail because their country doesn't want them back. They'll send them back the way they do. Just so you know, I know all of the people that we're dealing with as the heads of countries, and they're very smart. They're very streetwise. And what they're doing is they're taking all of their criminals, and they haven't brought all of them yet. They brought a lot of them, though. But they'll bring all of them. I'm shocked it's taken so long. If I were in their country, it would have gone a lot faster. I will tell you that I would have gotten that too. And they're bringing them into the United States. They're taking They're drug dealers and they're rapists, murderers, and every criminal, bringing them into the United States. And their crime rates are way down. They're bringing people from mental institutions and insane asylums into the United States. And their population for the mentally ill is way down. They're in the United States. They're dumping them in the United States. They're driving them through a border that's totally open.
Wants to go after
We
them.
stopped them. We didn't let it happen.
Just wouldn't be on the.
And when I first came into office, you know the story that President Obama at the time had no way of getting them back. And I said, I want to get all of the MS-13 in particular out of our country, bring them back to where they came from. A general said, sir, that won't be possible. Why? Because they blocked the airports, they blocked the roads, they blocked everything. You can't do it. I said, so they're making a concerted effort? Yes, sir, they're making a concerted effort. We can't do it. They put planes on the runway so we can't land the planes, sir. And the same thing with the roads. They block up the roads. So if we have buses coming in, they block up the roads. They're totally blocked and they're terrible. It's been that way for years, sir, all the way back to Bush. It's been that way for years. And I said, well, how much do we pay them in terms of economic development and aid? Sir, we pay them $750 million. I said, that's okay. Call them immediately and tell them we're not paying them anymore. And the following morning, I got a call from the three main culprits. Sir, I'd like to speak to you because I don't understand what the problem is. They said, well, you've sent us gang members, and they send them. Remember that. They send them. They said, you send us gang members, you send us killers, and you send us drug dealers, and you send us horrible people. And when we want to bring them back to your country, you won't accept them. And that's under President Obama and all the way through. And therefore, you're in default. You are in total default of the money that we send you. And we're not going to send you the money anymore. You're not getting any of the $750 million and more. We're not giving you any. You are delinquent. You are delinquent in what you've done. Okay, and you're not getting, sir, please, can we talk? I said, yeah, we can talk. What? We would absolutely love to have MS-13 sent back to our country. We think they're wonderful people. They're not wonderful people. They're wonderful killers. But they changed their tune totally. When I said they weren't going to get the money, I don't know why these people don't do it. And the $750 million now is billions of dollars because Biden increased it very substantially. He thinks by sending them money, they're going to send fewer people into our country. How stupid is that? So they're giving them $2.5–3 billion. The 750, not only did he give it, I didn't even pay after they made the call because I said, you know, you've treated us badly for so many years. We're not going to pay you anyway. But now they're giving them billions of dollars, billions, much more than when I took over. It was 750. Now they're giving them billions. But they said, there must be an understanding, sir. We would love to take them back. And I said, well, you're going to get them back. And we started bringing them back by the thousands out of Long Island, out of Michigan, out of Ohio, by the thousands. And she compared ICE agents, these brave people, to the KKK. She said, the ICE people, the ICE agents, I compare them to the KKK. Well, they don't really, because, you know, when you go into like Long Island, like Ohio, like Michigan, we had a lot of them. And you see these men, in most cases, the agents, get out of a van and walk into, they call it a pack. It's a pack, not like a political pack, slightly different, even nastier, hard to believe, right? But they would go into a pack of these killers, and all you do, I've seen it so many times, all you do is see fists and feet and hands and fighting. And 2 minutes later, they stand up and they walk out. They have them by the feet. They walk them out, or they drag them out, mostly drag them out, put them in paddy wagons, and they bring them back to their country. They take them back to the country, and the country is open arms now, open arms. And it's an amazing thing. For her to say KKK is very unfair, but she doesn't know. She doesn't want to know. She's a very strong communist lean. She wants to end detention of illegal alien migrants, releasing vicious monsters into our communities to rape, maim, and murder our population. She endorsed the funding the police and no cash bail nationwide. She was the original no funder. And the only thing Kamala Harris can deliver is horrific inflation, massive crime, and the death of the American dream. She is in favor of the death of the American dream because everything she does really stops. Any one of these items stops the American dream. We want our youth to go back and dream of being successful someday, being really successful and employing lots of people. And you can't get up early enough. I gave up that life for a life of politics. I gave up all of these beautiful places that I have all over the world for a life of being abused by the fake news media. And yet I would do it again. Somebody asked me the other day, would you do it again? I said, absolutely. Why would you do it? Why would you put yourself through? They go after you. They weaponize government. You have to deal with crooked judges that are after you and crooked prosecutors. And the New York court system is vicious and totally biased and frankly, totally crooked. Why would you put yourself through? I said, because we're going to make America great again. That's what we're going to do. And it's very important. So when I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. We will end Kamala's war on American energy, and we will drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill. That's going to bring down prices of everything because energy brought it up. When they went away from my policy, they quickly went back to it, but by that time it was too late. They lost control. But they've gone back to it, and if they win the day after the victory, they'll stop with all the drilling. But they went back to it because prices were going through the roof. They were going really bad, and that's what caused our inflation, and that's what destroyed the lives of many Americans. Going to reduce energy and electricity prices. I will, by at least half within a 12-month period. We'll be able to reduce prices between regulation and having a tremendous supply, which we have. I always say we have more liquid gold under our feet, more than any other nation anywhere in the world, including Saudi Arabia and including Russia. We're going to terminate the Green New Scam. It's called the Green New Deal. It's a scam. And rescind all unspent funds. We're going to rescind that and pay off debt. And we're going to reduce debt. We took almost $10 trillion for nonsense, for absolute nonsense. We'll do bridges. We'll do roads. We'll do things that we need. But we're not going to be spending it or wasting it stupidly and have China laugh at us. I remember when just a short while ago, Kerry goes, hops in his private plane, flies to China to talk about the energy prices and the energy situation in China with President Xi, who I know very well. Had a very good relationship until COVID came in, but that was a fence too far. But we had a great relationship, and Kerry would go up there and he'd leave so happy. But they don't do anything. They just talk. They said, oh, yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, as soon as we get to it. In the meantime, they're building a coal plant every week. But now I hear it's 2 coal plants a week. And we're dying for energy. We don't have energy. And they're getting set for the AI because they're going to create so much electricity. And we're not going to be able to do it. But you'll do it if I have it, because that's an emergency. We have to be able to compete with China and other countries that are able to create new energy if they want to, and they're going to want to, and they do want to. But they're building at least 1 coal plant a week. Germany, as you know, went a little bit like us, and that was the end of Angela because their whole economy crashed. And their new government is building coal plants all over the place. They're building brand new coal plants, nuclear plants, and other things because Germany was going to fail. So why are we following these countries that tried it and failed? And they're smart countries. They tried it, they failed. Why are we doing this? Why aren't we creating great energy plants, great sources of energy, instead of playing this game with wind that is ruining everything, killing all your birds, destroying the fields, all these gorgeous fields? You got windmills all over the place, and you have birds. You want to see a bird cemetery? Just go under a windmill. You see thousands of birds dead. The bald eagle, if you kill an eagle,
why they
put you in jail for years.
Yeah, it's over there fucking around.
And yet these windmills knock them out like nothing. And nothing happens to the people. No, it's a green scam. It's a shame. Look, I'm all for clean energy. I want clean water. I want clean air. But you can't destroy your country over it. You just can't do that. We want to stop wasteful spending and big government special interest giveaways. You have giveaways. You have some of these people that are giving, but they're not giving millions and millions of dollars to politicians because they like their policy. They're giving it because they made deals. They're going to take over lots of different things and our country. They're going to build windmills as an example. They're going to build big solar fields that take up half the desert, massive solar fields. And I'm a big fan of solar, but it can't fire our plants. It's not going to fire our plants. Fire up those plants. We got to get them going. And the only thing that can do that is fossil fuel right now. And the only thing that can make electricity, which we all want, is right now fossil fuel and nuclear. And nuclear has its place, a very big place in our country, very big place. China is going with nuclear. France has been going with nuclear for many years. We want to end the Biden-Harris electrical vehicle mandate. We have to get rid of the electric vehicle mandate. And look, Elon endorsed me strongly, the most powerful endorsement. He said it 3 or 4 times the other night during our little chat, but a chat that was very well listened to and attended. We know that, right? It broke every single record, I think, in history. And he's a great guy. But I told him, I said, I have one problem. I'm all for the electric car, but it's a very small percentage. I think the electric car is incredible. I think what you've done is incredible. But some people are going to want gasoline propelled cars. They're going to want hybrids. They're going to want other types of cars. And Elon, they're going to have to do that. And he understands that fully. And I think he was amazed by this electric vehicle mandate. They want it for trucks too. If you do it for trucks, you're not going to have any. You talk about a supply chain problem. A truck going from New York to Los Angeles, if it's electric, will have to stop 6 times for long periods of time. If you have diesel fuel, it goes all the way, and you can even come a piece of the way back before you have to reload. And with diesel, the truck gets lighter because you're using up the fuel. With the electric, it stays at a heavy weight. An electric truck is 2.5 times heavier than what we would call our traditional trucks. And a man from a company said to me, sir, I've been buying trucks. For 50 years, I've been buying them, and every single year they got better and bigger and stronger and more powerful and more efficient, more fuel efficient. And now we build apartments in the truck, sir, and you would be proud to stay in those apartments. And then I say, I don't know if I would, but I know exactly what he meant. Those big, he said, it's incredible, the trucks. I said, who builds the best truck? He didn't tell me. He said, they all do. You have 4 companies, 5 companies. They all do, sir. They build great ones. He said, but for 50 years, they got better. Every year, I started off with 1 truck. I said, how many trucks do you have now? 27,000. I said, 27,000, and all big ones. He's the biggest. This is the biggest. He said, for 50 years, I've been buying, and every single year, they got better, more efficient, stronger. He said, if they make us buy electric trucks, we will go back 70 years because the truck is worse than the one we had 50 years ago. And he said, I won't partake in it. They want the truckers, the trucking industry to do that. One other thing, the truck is heavier and the battery is much larger than the tanks. And the battery would take up about half of the payload. Think of that. But just as importantly, the battery and all that goes into electric is much heavier. The truck it weighs 2.5 times more than a normal truck fired up by diesel. And he said, if that's the case, sir, you would have to rebuild every single bridge and road in America because the weight is so enormous. It wouldn't be able to go on the bridges and all of the different weight-bearing roads in America. I said, did you explain this to the people? I mean, a 5-year-old child, if he was hearing these things, it doesn't go far. It takes too much room. You don't have any room left for anything. It's almost the whole thing would be carrying a battery. Does anybody explain this to these people? We do explain it. They know it very well. At the end of the meeting, they say, we don't care. Just start making your electric truck. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it, he said. So we're going to repeal all that. We're going to repeal Kamala's regulatory onslaught, saving households an estimated $5,000 a year at a minimum. The massive tax cuts and no tax on tips. We're going to make sure it gets done. She's not going to get it done. She didn't hear about it until I said it. And then she went out and she went and did it. And the other thing, no tax on Social Security. We're not going to have seniors who have been decimated by inflation pay tax on Social Security, and we'll get through it through growth. We have tremendous growth potential in this country, but not with these people running it, because all they're going to do is take away, and they want to take away your your growth and your growth potential. Again, I say it all the time, we're a nation in decline. We're a failing nation. Right now, we're a failing nation, and we're going to soon be a great nation again. That's going to happen. Another thing we're going to do, having to do with a lot of reasons, a lot of things, and the economy in particular, we're going to seal the border. We're going to stop the invasion. We're going to send the illegal aliens back home. We're going to bring down the cost of health care and housing. We're going to make sure that Social Security is not going to be increased in terms of years where people have to wait much longer. I mean, we have an obligation to take care of these people. And just so you know, I didn't do it in 4 years. I never even thought about doing it in 4 years. And they probably don't want to do it, but they're going to have no chance. They're going to have no choice because a lot of the people that are coming in are being signed into Medicare. They're being signed into Social Security. And it's just going to explode. And it's going to happen very fast. And it's going to be very ugly. It's not going to happen with us. We're going to open up tracts of federal land for housing construction. We desperately need housing for people who can't afford what's going on now. And when we open it up and we take off some of the restrictions and regulations, you know, in California, 50% the cost of a house is regulations. They have to adhere to regulations that bring the cost of the house up by 50%. We're going to bring back our supply chains to stop costly supply chain disruptions. We have tremendous disruptions. I have it all the time, and I think you do too. We order things, and I keep saying, well, when's it getting here? Sir, there's a supply chain disruption. And I mean, you end up getting stuff like 3 months late now. I don't know, all these geniuses over here, I think we can say that. I'm not sure that you're necessarily as much into it, but they are. And I will say that very often, we have problems with supply chains where I'm waiting for things for weeks and weeks. And I say, by the way, whatever happened to it? Supply chain, sir, it's not coming in. And it's a terrible thing. Nobody ever thought a thing like that would happen to our country. We're going to restore peace and stability all throughout the world. And you all know Viktor Orban. He's the prime minister of Hungary and a very tough man. He's a good man, but he's a tough man. And they asked him, what do we need to stop all of the wars with Israel? What do we need to stop the wars in Russia and Ukraine and all the other wars that are starting? He said, when President Trump was here, we had no wars. We didn't have Russia lining up at the borders to go and attack Ukraine. We would have never had Hamas because Hamas had no money, because Iran had no money. I said to China and everybody else, if you buy from Iran, you can't do business in the United States. And I'm not looking to be bad to Iran. We're going to be friendly, I hope, with Iran. Maybe, but maybe not. But we're going to be friendly. I hope we're going to be friendly. But they can't have a nuclear weapon. They can't have a nuclear weapon. And we were all set to make sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon, because once they do, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different negotiation. But Viktor Orban said, if you put Trump in, nothing's going to happen. Everyone's going to be peaceful, because they were afraid of Trump. Now, I don't like saying that I said that. I would say maybe they respected Trump. But he said they were afraid of Trump. They didn't know where he was coming from, and they were really afraid of him. They're not afraid of these people. And being afraid isn't so bad, but I would say more importantly, they respected me. But he didn't use that word. He said they were afraid of Trump. And we would have not had any problems with China and Taiwan. We wouldn't have had any problems with Ukraine and Russia. We wouldn't have any problems with anything. But we will stop inflation. We will make America affordable again. And we're going to bring back the American dream. We have all these young people that are coming out of schools, colleges, everything else. And they're not going to have the American dream. They don't even think about the American dream. Right now, they just think about survival. And I just want to end by saying we have tremendous potential in this country. We can do amazing things, and we can do them fast. We have to get the criminals out. We have to get them out immediately and fast and tough. We're going to rely on our local police. Our local police law enforcement has been so incredible. And they know. Somebody said, how will you get them out? How will you know? The local police know the name and serial number and middle name and last name and where they come from of every single bad guy that's come into our country. And we're going to rely on local police, and we're going to make sure that they have immunity from prosecution, because frankly, our police are treated horribly. They're not allowed to do their job. You know that better than anybody. They're not allowed to do their job. If they were allowed to do their job, we wouldn't have cities that have crime rates. You look at Chicago on the 4th of
And,
July
you
weekend
stretching
in
it a little bit
Chicago.
now.
Think of this: 17 people were shot and 17 died. Afghanistan isn't anything like that. And speaking of Afghanistan, the single most embarrassing day in the history of our country. And yesterday I saw they gave $85 billion worth of brand new military equipment that I rebuilt the military. So this was equipment that to a large extent I bought, but brand new. And they had a parade yesterday, a beautiful parade. We were going to get out with dignity and strength. We were there for 21 years. And we were going to keep Bagram because it's 1 hour away. Bagram is this massive Air Force base that I visited. It's a massive base. And we were going to keep it because it's 1 hour, not because of Afghanistan, but because it's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. And they were showing it off yesterday. But the fact is that China now controls Bagram. China, can you imagine that? And we left. We were going to stay there. We were going to keep it. We were going to get out with dignity, strength. We were going to take our soldiers out last, not first. We took our soldiers out first. I dealt with Abdul, and he's still the leader. Strong man, smart man. But he understood that if he did anything, because we were losing a lot of people to the snipers, and under Obama, it was terrible. It was brutal. They'd be walking around and just get shot. And that was the end of them. Our people and other people too, civilians. And I let them know that if you do that, we're going to hit you so hard like you've never been hit before. But why? He said, do you send me a picture of my home? Why? Why do you send me a picture of my home? I said, you'll have to figure that one out later. But I said, we're going to have to hit you people so hard like we've never hit anybody. And he understood. And he said, yes, Your Excellency, I understand. He called me Your Excellency. I wonder if he calls that to Biden. I doubt it, right? But he understood that and he respected us. And for 18 months, not one American soldier was killed. Not one. And then I left because of an election where I got millions of more votes than we did in 2016. We got millions of more, from 10 to 12 million votes more. Think of that. No president has ever gone with that kind of an election uptick. Usually a president will get less. President Obama got less, much less his second time, but he won. But he got much less. We got 10 to 12 million votes more. And that's not including other votes that we can talk about at another day. But this is their votes, 10 to 12 million more. And we left. And that's when all the problems started. We didn't have these problems. We would have never had a problem with Abdul. We would have never had a problem with anybody, frankly. And I'd have to say, you're looking at things behind me. They did a nice job. Wow, I haven't gotten to see. That's good. I don't like the tags very much. Look at that, up 46% eggs. Wow, up 65%. Wow, school lunches up 65%. How can a family afford that? But look at this over here. What a nice job. I think I'm going to take some of them back to my cottage and have a lot of fun. Like the Cheerios. I haven't seen Cheerios in a long time. I'm going to take them back with me. Bacon is through the roof. They're all through the roof. The milk, everything is bad. And we're going to straighten it out. We're going to bring prices way down, and we'll get it done fast. And with her, it's just talk. She's a radical left San Francisco person who destroyed the place. And I don't know. It's hard to believe that she can even be in the discussion. They had a group of 12 people that she was considering, and they put her name in there, and they marked them, who were the best and who were the worst. And she was actually rated the worst of the 12. They had 12 plus her, 13 people, and they rated her the worst. Now, 6 weeks ago, she was considered to be a failed vice president and a failed administration, a disaster. And now all of these people are talking about her like she's Margaret Thatcher, liberal version. She's not smart. I don't believe she loves our country. And we cannot have our country destroyed, because once that happens, it'll never be able to come back. Okay? If you'd like, we can ask a few questions. Yeah, please. Yeah, The last time I saw him was at Mar-a-Lago, and he came with his wife and a large group of people. And we had a very good relationship with him and with Israel. Again, this would never have happened. October 7th would have never happened, would have never, ever happened. And he asked for the meeting. We had the meeting. It was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. And I expect I might be talking to him, but I haven't since then. No. No, I didn't encourage him. No, he knows what he's doing. I did encourage him to get this over with. You want to get it over with. It has to get over with fast. But have victory, get your victory, and get it over with. It has to stop. The killing has to stop. Yes, please, behind you. Thank you. So I don't know if you heard the question. You've spoken about God saving your life. That I've spoken passionately about it. And something happened because that was a miracle. I never looked that way. The audience was massive and it was in front of me. I never have that particular graph. That was a graph on, as you all know now, that it's very, I think everyone knows it very well, but it showed the great numbers on illegal immigration. It was the lowest point we've ever had. And it was one that I use less than 20% of the time. It's always at the end of the speech, not at the beginning of the speech. And it's always on the left side, not the right side. And yet, for some reason, I called it. It's not on a teleprompter. I do things largely without a teleprompter, frankly, because it's hard to hold an audience if you're going to go for an hour and a half or 2 hours reading a script. And I just talked about it, and I moved to my right, turned sharply to my right, ping. And if I didn't do that, I'm not here with you. So, yeah, God has something to do with it. It's a miracle, and God had something to do with it. And maybe it's we want to save the world. This world is going down. This world is going down. So it could be. But I believe that. I believe that my sons are very good shooters. They're like scratch golfers, better, relatively speaking, with shooters, great shooters. And Eric and Don both told me from 130 yards. I said, well, that's pretty far away, isn't it? They said, no, that's like a 1-foot putt with, weapons like the one being used. Plus, he was a good shooter. This guy was a good shooter. He went to the range and shot a lot, and he was supposed to be a pretty good shooter. They said a bad shooter would hit the target almost 100% of the time. So something happened. And I have to say the Secret Service sniper did an amazing job. He had 5 seconds to find the target and hit the target, and he hit the target within, think of this, 5 seconds. And he was much further away because he was over here and this other person was over there. So you have to give credit. And I have to also say about Secret Service, when I was hit, I knew it because when I touched, there was blood pouring all over my hand. I said, I guess I know what that is. And I was going down for protection, and they were screaming, get down, get down. There was bullets. And those Secret Service guys were, and person, Kate, they were on top of me in a matter of, I think, 3 seconds. It was time dead. And bullets were coming out. I would hear the bullet. I didn't realize you could hear it, but now I know very well. Those bullets were going right over my head. They were there and very brave. There was nobody that said, I'm not going to be going there. They just, they were there very quickly, and they were very brave. There were mistakes made, obviously. He shouldn't have been up there. The roof should have been taken care of, and there were mistakes made. There's no question about it. But there was a lot of bravery also. We have to remember that. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, Brian? Yeah, it reached a record. Credit card debt. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would say my message to them. So he said, credit card debt is at the all-time high. It's never been like this. What's your message to America? How are we going to solve that? And what will they do? You know what I think they should do? They should, on November 5th or sooner, if it's early voting, which largely it is, which is ridiculous. We should have one-day voting, paper ballots. We should have voter ID, and we should have proof of citizenship, because people are voting and people are going on now without citizenship. But we should do it, and maybe we'll be able to get that done too. It's one of the things I want to do. But my message to them would be very simple: vote for Trump, and we're going to fix the problem. We're going to get it fixed. We'll get it fixed. Yes, Brian. Yeah. So she is saying when she gets in, she's in now. And especially with Biden, because I mean, he's not in the best of shape. But you know what? She's in there now. She can do anything she wants. And she's still saying, if you elect me, I'll do this, I'll do. Why didn't she do it? Here's my one question. It's the easiest question. Because she complains about everything. Why didn't she do it? That's all I ask. On day one, we're going to drill, baby, drill, and we're going to close the border, and we're going to let people come in, but they're going to come in legally. They're going to come into our country legally. But on day one, we're going to do many things. You know, I can do a lot of things at one time. But the questions often is, what's the first thing you're going to do? I would say we have a tie. We're going to close the border. We're going to stop the millions of people coming in, and we're going to take all of the criminals that have come in, and we know every one of them. I know. And the local police know better than anybody else. They're going to work with us. I've spoken to a lot of the sheriffs, every police, virtually every law enforcement group in America has endorsed Trump. I don't think anybody's endorsed Kamala. Not one. I don't think anybody's endorsed them. And you know that better than anybody. In Florida, all over California, they've endorsed me. We have the relationship I have with law enforcement. And these are great people and people that we have to really cherish and respect and let them do their job and protect them. And you'll always have a bad apple in everything. You have bad apples as reporters. That I can tell you many. I'd say about 80%. But you're always going to have bad apples. But you have very, very few when you look at it. Very, very few. You have to let them do their job. You have to protect them. But basically, we're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get the energy prices down almost immediately. And we're going to close the border. And we're going to get the crooked ones out, the bad ones out. And we're going to let a lot of people come in because we need more people, especially with AI coming and all of the different things. And the farmers need, everybody needs. But we're going to make sure that they're not murderers, killers, drug dealers, and the kind of people that we have largely coming in right now. Okay. Yeah. No, I think it's a sign of we want to close it out. We have great people. Susie is fantastic, as you know, and Chris is fantastic. They're leading it. Corey Lewandowski's coming in. He'll be, a personal envoy, or he'll be at some level. They're going to be, they're doing a great job. Look, we've taken, with all of the abuse we've taken from the fake news media, all of this horrific abuse we take. And all I want to do is make the country good. All I want to do is have strong borders and good education. We want to have choice for education. So important, so many different things. You would think it would be the other way. We rebuilt the military. We did so many great things, but that's the way it's been for Republicans. And I guess more so for me than anybody in history. And that's okay, because we're leading in the polls. For the most part, we're leading in the polls. We were leading Biden by a lot. We're leading now, but I think when she's exposed, I think we're going to beat her by a lot more than we would have beaten Biden by, because he had a little group of people that have been voting for him for a long time. She doesn't have that. People don't know who she is. As far as the personal attacks, I'm very angry at her because of what she's done to the country. I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people. Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence. And I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. She actually called me weird. He's weird. It was just a soundbite. And she called JD and I weird. He's not weird. He was a great student at Yale. He went to Ohio State, graduated in 2 years at the top of his class, and all of these different things. And we have this guy that's running a very failed state, who's had a terrible career. I mean, you have him saying they're weird. No, he's a weird guy. And she's weird in her policy. Who wouldn't want to
Different
have
things
strong
being
borders? Who
weird
doesn't want to have lower
bias
taxes?
is different.
You know, all my life I've watched as politicians campaigned, and I've always been on, you know, for the most part on the other side, on the side that these people are on. And they always talked about, we're going to reduce taxes. This is the only campaign I've ever heard where they're saying, we're going to increase your taxes. And then people say they're going to vote for him. I don't know. So I don't think so. I don't think people know who she is yet. When people, because really people didn't know. You can ask the man on the street. I saw it on one of the shows today. They asked the man on the street, what's the last name of Kamala? Nobody knew. It's Harris. Nobody knew the last name. I don't even use it because nobody knows who I'm talking about. People don't know who she is. She's a radical left socialist. But beyond that, I mean, she's way beyond socialism. Who's going to destroy our country? And when they find out, I think you're going to see something. But right now, even not knowing her, and with all of the, like the cover of Time magazine, they didn't put a picture. They got a great artist to do it. What was that all about? You know, what was that all about? The whole thing is crazy. I just want to win for the country. Some people say, oh, why don't you be nice? But they're not nice to me. They want to put me in prison, you know, just so you understand. You know, they tell me I should be nice. They want to put me in prison. It's never happened before in the history of our country. I did nothing wrong. I have crooked judges. I have crooked prosecutors. And they're all Democrats, all Democrat areas, other than in Florida, where you had a brilliant judge who ruled in my favor. I won the case, the documents case, won it in its entirety. And Jack Smith, deranged Jack Smith, suffered a defeat. But in New York City, everything's clubhouse, everything. I know it very well. I grew up there. I know it very well. And we have a very crooked system. And it's one of the reasons that New York is dying. Nobody wants to come in. No companies want to come in because the courtroom system is so corrupt, both at a federal level and at a state level. And they put you into an area where you have 3% Republican vote. It's all a rigged deal, just like Fani, F-A-N-I, Fani, with her boyfriend. And I think that's been discredited too. They've been discredited. But think of it. They don't want me to be a little bit nasty. They want to put me in prison. They want to put me. It's never happened before in the history of our country. It's happened in third world countries, but it's never happened here. And they're in danger because you create a precedent for doing that. And once that happens, that's a really bad thing. You know, in the years before, and I've said this a few times, not too much, but with Hillary, she was subpoenaed by Congress to give everything she's got. And she burned it. She acid washed it. Bleach bit, they call it. She totally scrubbed it. And then they broke everything with hammers, with fire. They burned it. And then she said, I don't have anything. Well, it turned out that she had a lot to give. And everybody said, lock her up, lock her up. And I used to go easy, just easy, easy. Then we won. And I said, wouldn't it be terrible? And you know, I lose. Some people are upset when I did this, but you have to look at it maybe differently now. I say, wouldn't it be terrible to put the wife of the president, former president of the United States, into a prison? Now think of that. Hillary Clinton, she was Secretary of State. She was the wife of a president of the United States who used to be a friend of mine before I ran for politics. He was a friend of mine. He used to play my golf course all the time. I have a great golf course right next to their home in Westchester. He used to be there all the time. It was his favorite course. But you know what? I could have done that very easily. She was so guilty. And I said to my people, wouldn't it be terrible to put, I don't know, wouldn't it be terrible to take, and we won the election, wouldn't it be terrible to take a former Secretary of State who was the wife of the President of the United States and put her into a prison? But that's what they want to do with me. And I did nothing wrong. It's all crooked politics and really crooked judges. You know, I have a gag order. Do you know I can't even talk about it?
Why would her policy
You know that I have a judge
somebody else's site and not
who has a gag order? He doesn't want me to talk. And the reason he doesn't want me to talk is because what I say is so devastating and so horrible for him. But think of it. I have a gag order. There's never been a politician in history. I mean, probably for any politician for a city council office. I'm the leading candidate to be president. I won virtually unanimously, and I beat everybody. It was the quickest primary in history. There's never been one that was done so early. I had people that were very talented people, and I beat them by 45, 50, 60, 70, 80 points. There was never a close race. Nobody was even close. Good talent. They weren't close. And I'm running against the Democrats. So it's a two-party system, whether we like it or not. Republican, I'm the Republican, and I'm leading. But let's say I'm tied, but I'm leading. I believe I'm leading by a lot more than people think, and I believe we'll be leading by a lot more. And I have a judge who put a gag order on me. So when you ask me a question, or when you ask me a question, I can't give you an answer, because if I give the answer, they want to put you in jail. He said, we'll put him in jail if he talks beyond the gag order. And this is in a state where unfortunately, the laws have been very bad, and they haven't been upheld by the appellate divisions generally. Although I have one case where we a certain judge, I won't use names, but the attorney general case, where we won 5 appeals on the same case, the most ever trial. It was a ridiculous, horrible decision where you have a very, very biased voting population and a judge whose hatred of Donald Trump was beyond belief. And we won the case, but he ruled a ridiculous amount of money, civil case, ruled ridiculous. Now, this is what they're doing is
That's what that is.
interference with an election. They want to interfere. Look at the one thing they want to sentence right before the election takes place. Let's sentence him, because who's going to vote for him if we sentence him? Let's sentence him right before. No, this is interference with a presidential election at a state level. And it's a state that always goes Democrat. It's interference. And as you know, the Supreme Court ruled recently on immunity, and I'm immune from all of the stuff that they charge me with. But isn't it a terrible thing? And yet Hillary Clinton, when it came time to make a decision, I said, I don't want to put the wife of the president of the United States in prison. I want the country to come together and to be unified. And here it is a few years later, and these people say, let's put him, why? Because I challenge an election? Because I want to challenge an election, or some other reason? It's a really disgraceful thing. It's a shame. And it's a very dangerous thing for both parties, because once they start that ball rolling, once they started rolling, that's a nasty ball. Yes, please. Please. Sure. I think that we've done very well. I think that we're hitting a nerve. I think this is a different kind of a race. All we have to do is define our opponent as being a communist or a socialist or somebody that's going to destroy our country. I fought Nikki very hard. I beat her in her own state by legendary numbers. And I get along with her fine. I appreciate that she endorsed me and all of that. No, I think that I think relatively to what they're doing and how radical they are and how in many ways how sick they are, I think I'm doing a very calm campaign. I mean, we're here. There's no shouting. Now, you'll say he ranted and raved, and not you, but some of you will say he ranted and raved. I didn't rant and rave. I'm a very calm person, believe it or not. If I wasn't, probably wouldn't be around anymore, probably wouldn't be around. But no, I think I appreciate her advice. I have to do it my way. I ran against her. And I did it my way. People said I should maybe do it a different way, but I won in South Carolina by numbers that nobody's ever seen before. It wasn't even close. And I think she's a good woman. I'd love to have her support. Yeah, she gave me support, but I'd love to have her go around and campaign. Well, not only responsible, they probably can't do it legally, and that will drive up prices. She wants no fracking. Now, she may go and change that. I think she's already changed it. but she wants to have no fracking. I want no fracking. But for her whole life, she said that, no fracking. Then about, I don't know when, a couple of months ago, all of a sudden when she started looking at polls, remember this, she all of a sudden says fracking. I don't think I won Pennsylvania and I did much better the second time. I won it in 2016, did much better the second time. I know Pennsylvania very well. I don't think there's any way in hell that somebody that's intelligent living in Pennsylvania is going to vote for somebody that basically will eventually end fracking, end fossil fuel. So whether it's Oklahoma or Texas or Pennsylvania, it's a big energy state. People don't realize that 350,000 people work in that industry. But maybe more importantly, they don't want to pay $9 a gallon for gasoline. So, no, I think that she's made statements. I don't know how you get out of it. I don't know how you can say for 10 years there'll be no fracking. I mean, we have tapes of her laughing at the stupidity of the question. Of course, I'm not going to allow fracking. Then all of a sudden, a few months ago, she comes out in favor of, oh, yes, I'd allow fracking. I don't think anybody in Pennsylvania will be, I think she's going to do very badly in Pennsylvania. You have to frack. We need the energy, and Pennsylvania needs the jobs, but Pennsylvania needs the energy also. That energy is going to support our new system for AI and all of the other modern things that need massive amounts of electricity and energy, massive. So it's a very good question, actually. But we have to unify as a country. We have to come together, and I think we can. You know, I get that question oftentimes, and I used to think maybe there's no way because, you know, some people want a border, some people don't want a border. Most people do want a border. But there's such a difference in people. But just before COVID coming out, so 3 years, we went a long period of time, and we had an economy going the likes of which no country had ever seen before. I think you would agree. There's never been anything like it. And people were coming together. People were calling me I would call them radical left, but I would say very liberal people, very progressive people. They came to me. We would like to get together. In fact, we worked out criminal justice reform. I was the only one that could have done that. I won criminal justice reform, and I got that for Black leaders that came to see me. Criminal justice reform. Obama couldn't do it. Biden wouldn't even try. But nobody could do it. I got that done. And I got conservative votes to get it done. They needed at least 5 very conservative votes. It was very hard to do. I got that done. Our country was coming together. And, you know, I can tell you the story of criminal justice reform. When you do that, that means that's a big step. But I was seeing people that were not seeable, that I wouldn't want to see them and they wouldn't want to see me. And all of a sudden I was having lunch with people that if I told you who they were, you wouldn't even believe it. Our country was coming together. Success was bringing our country together, and it can be done. Success will bring our country together again. It can be done. It was an amazing phenomena. And I used to say, I don't know, it's awfully tough to get it together. I've never seen anything like it. Like, for instance, me getting criminal justice reform done. And I did that with Democrats and some very conservative Republicans who said it's very unfair where people are staying in jail for 35, 40 years. And today they wouldn't even be charged with a crime for what they did. And we got it done, and I was very proud of it. But our country was coming together. The Black population had the best numbers they've ever had on jobs, on income, on everything. The Hispanic population had the best numbers. Asian population, men, women,
Hey, MC,
young
how you
people
doing?
with diplomas from the best schools, Harvard, MIT, the Wharton School of Finance. They're all coming together, and everybody was happy. And young people without a high school diploma, the best MIT students and people without a diploma were all working. They were making more money than they've ever made. There wasn't one group that wasn't doing better than it was the year before, 2 years before, or 10 years before. It was the best our country had ever done, and we were leapfrogging China. China didn't have a chance. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from China. Hundreds of billions of dollars. No president ever took in 10 cents. And what happened was an amazing thing. We had a great, successful country. and our country was unifying. It was the first time anyone's seen it, but our country was unifying. One or 2 points, yeah. And Fox News has always been my worst poll, believe it or not. And even Fox News had me up by 1 or 2 points yesterday. Came out, I think, 2 points, 1 point. I also think, I tend to poll low. In some cases, really low. In 2016, I was polling low because people didn't want to say who they're voting for. I don't know if that's supposed to be a good thing or a bad thing, but it is what it is. And we did very well in 2016. And we did much better in 2020, much better, but bad things happened. Through COVID, very bad things happened. So we're not happy about that. Yes, I've seen you around a little bit. So go ahead, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I want to get along with China. I had a great relationship with President Xi. We made a fantastic trade deal, $50 billion of farm products and manufacturing products they had to buy here, and they were adhering to it. They don't adhere to it anymore because they don't respect Harris or Biden. But as you know, we signed a trade deal with China, and it was actually better than even the USMCA. It was a great trade deal. China had to buy 50 billion, not 15 billion, not anything else, $50 billion. And it was a great trade deal. I think that that's one of the underrated things. I think we'll have a great relationship with China. I hope we're going to have a great relationship, but it's got to be a fair relationship. China was taking advantage of the country for years, but so was every other country, in all fairness to China. Every single country was taking advantage of the United States. I can't think of one country where we were doing better than them. Japan was taking, Abe was my dear friend, one of the great men, great leader, but all of these countries were, I used to say, who signs these agreements? It's amazing that we economically survived because we had such bad negotiators or people were getting paid off. I actually looked at some deals. I'd say nobody could be so stupid to sign a deal that's so one-sided. Whoever made this deal has been paid off. And then I'd look into it a little bit. Yeah. And all of a sudden, he's working as an agent for that country 3 years later, 5 years later. Now, we changed a lot of those deals. South Korea, we changed the South Korea deal. We made it from a horrible deal to a good deal. I changed the Japan deal. But I made a great deal with China. They had to buy $50 billion worth. They never bought anything like that. In fact, it was a misunderstanding. When I said the people were negotiating, what number are we talking about? They said 15. I thought they said 50. So when they came back to me, they said, sir, we're all set to get it going. I said, good. What's the number? 15. I said, you told me 50. Why are we going down to 15? They said, no, we said 15. I said, you told me 50. Actually, I heard them wrong. They said 15, but I heard them wrong. So I said, go back and get 50. And we got 50 instead of 15. And it was great. I really think that we can have a great relationship with China. We can have a great relationship with a lot of countries that right now. One of the things with China, I know as much as any country, but all of the countries, the one thing is they have to respect you. If they don't respect you, and I was very tough in countries like Japan, and yet Abe, who was a great man, assassinated, horribly assassinated. He was a great man. He was a great leader. But I believe, and I was very tough on him. I was very tough on Russia. I was probably the toughest. I ended Nord Stream 2. The biggest deal they've ever done, the biggest pipeline in the world, the biggest, all of Europe was going to be supplied by Russia. And I ended the deal. It was dead. And then Biden comes in and approves it. And they say, oh, I was nice to Russia. No, Putin actually said to me one time, if you're supposed to be like friendly with me, I would hate like hell for you to be angry at me because you are brutal. Think of it. Not only that, the sanctions, but forget the sanctions. I ended Nord Stream 2. The pipeline was dead. And then Biden comes in and he got $3.5 million, in all fairness, from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Remember that? During the debate, we brought it up, and Chris Wallace, who's not the father, he is not, there is no resemblance between him and Mike Wallace, that I can tell you. He said, you shouldn't be talking about that. I said, why not? They got the family, $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Why wouldn't I talk about that? He wouldn't let me talk. I said, I'm negotiating against two people, not one. I turned out to be right because a year later, that was a big scandal. Why did he get $3.5 million? But Biden approved immediately the pipeline in Russia, Nord Stream, and he killed the Keystone XL pipeline, 48,000 jobs. He killed it. He did the exact opposite of what he should have done. Yes, please. I know you had your hand up. Nice to see you. Yeah. Well, no, I want companies to get workers that are going to love them and work for a wage that lets the company make a profit so they can go and expand. In that case, they moved, as you know, they moved the company from California, Elon, from California to Texas because they were able to get things that California wouldn't give. And I did ask him one question. You're moving a very big company out of California that's been there for years into Texas. Did the governor ever call you and say, like, let's work it out because we don't want to lose you? And he said he never called. Governor Newsom, he never called. And you would have thought if I were governor of California and if Elon or anybody else, they have oil companies leaving, I would be calling.
Hey, Danny, how are you?
But no, Elon wants to run an efficient company. And if he has to he got rid of a lot of people on X or former Twitter, a lot of people gone, and it still works. It still works. So you got to run the company productively. And there are going to be a lot of jobs around. I want it so that a person doesn't have to get lucky and find a job. I want a person that can look for 10 jobs and all 10 companies want them. And you negotiate much more than you'd get by doing what you just suggested. So, you know, he's a strong man. He's a strong guy. He's a brilliant guy. And he wants to get the best he can. And he wants to get the best workers. He pays a lot of money to a lot of his workers. It's to a certain extent supply and demand, but ultimately that's what's going to lead to a great country. So. Well, that's not, they weren't organizing against Elon. He let them go because he was having a lot of problems in California. They were making it impossible for him. In California, what they were doing with the taxes and everything were making it impossible for him. And Sean O'Brien's a great guy from the Teamsters you're talking. Yeah, Sean is great. I think Sean would understand it better than anybody. Don't forget, the unions are really threatened by what's coming in, by these millions and millions of people coming in. Sean O'Brien understands that. The black population is absolutely threatened. The Hispanic population is absolutely threatened because these people are coming in. They're going to take their jobs. They're going to make it very, very hard. What's happened in our country is very dangerous, very bad thing. No, just the opposite. I wish I didn't have to do this. If our country were run by Democrats and it was run beautifully, where we were really being productive and everything else, I would have never done this. I wouldn't have done it if I thought I couldn't have won. I think I can win. I think I can win easily once they're exposed for what they are, which is, radical left lunatics, and that's what they are. They're going to ruin. She's going to ruin our country. Going to ruin our country. And I just hope the people of our country, and I believe they are because I see it already happening, but I hope they are able to think for themselves, because if they think for themselves, if they look at the destruction that's going to be caused by Kamala and this person from out of nowhere, he came out of nowhere, a state that I love that state, but a state that's doing so poorly, where he's the one that signed in tampons in boys' bathrooms. He signed a bill that boys' bathrooms, all boys' bathrooms in Minnesota will have tampons. And what's going on? What's wrong with us? What's wrong with us as a country? So no, I would, if we had somebody doing a phenomenal job, I would be extremely happy. What I want to do is I want to see, even the last few months, I hope the country does really well, even though it would make it probably a little bit harder to win. I hope the country does really well. It's country first. I want our country to do great. If they were great leaders, I would be the first to say they're doing a fantastic job. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What? Do I regret debating Biden? So it was his request. He said we should get the debates on early, and I was willing. Don't forget, I got CNN, I got Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. They're not Trump people. They wanted to have a debate where their mics are turned off when the other person's answering the question. They gave me every single thing that I couldn't approve, and I said, yeah, I'll do it. So they got the debate on their terms. They got the network that they dreamt of. But that was really his decision. I had to decide whether or not I felt I wanted to debate him. And I think they didn't want to debate, but I agreed to every single thing. It was a debate where they said, we'll give him something that it'll be impossible for him to accept. And I accepted all the terms, other than when they had us sitting down at a desk. And I said, I think that makes us look bad. I don't want to sit down. Let's stand up. And they agreed to that. Other than that, we gave them CNN, we gave them Dana, and we gave them Jake. And by the way, I have to say, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash were unbelievably straight and honest. And I give them a lot of credit for that. A lot of people were saying you couldn't have a fair debate. I think we have that with ABC. I have some people at ABC that don't like me too much. I find it to be about the worst. George Slobodopoulos. I have a lot of people at ABC that I find it to be actually the most unfair of all the networks, and they want to do it on ABC. Whatever, I don't mind. The question that you're asking, though, about whether or not the debate should have happened would have been a better question to ask of Joe Biden, because had he not done the debate, he would still be running for president, and people would be hiding him. Just like they're hiding her right now. They're hiding her no different than him, because I believe she's grossly incompetent. And I don't think that when people hear what she has to say, they're going to buy it. Thank you all very much. Thank you. I know, I want them too. She's 100 years old. She wants my autograph. I think we should do it. What do you think?
Okay. That appears to be pretty much it. All right. So Trump good for at least an hour, 15 minutes worth of conversation. I'm gonna give him that. Because I think I started maybe 3 or 4 minutes before he actually came on. So yeah, not bad. We'll get at least an hour worth of convo. I got paint replacements back. Never mind. I ain't buying nothing else. Looks like we have had a lively chat in the chat. Over here, I'm just gonna make the disclaimer. My mods, they're gonna ask you to they squabbling skinny, but it's all right. But like, listen, newbies, ninja watchers, all of the above, anybody else the uninformed, my mods they gonna ask you questions. They're gonna make you cite your sources. So if you got strong opinions and you not shy about saying what you want to say in the chat, because again, I was asked earlier, do I support free speech? I absolutely do, but please understand, if my mods feel like they want to know something, they're gonna ask you. So be ready. Be ready to cite your sources. That's all I'm saying. See. Okay. I'm just saying. Be ready. Don't be offended. We encourage healthy discussion over here. Oh yeah, I need some of them. We encourage healthy discussion. That's all I'm saying. That is what it is. But let's go, Miss Lady, to talk about it real quick. Probably ain't so much of nothing.
I think some people are trying to get some questions in over there.
You still answering questions?
Let's see. He's got a little crowd over there. A group of people over in the corner. And
let me know if you want to come up here.
Beautiful night here in New Jersey. We're at Bedminster. You could see there's a lot of mosquitoes and flies out. I love how delicately he handled that, and also I love how delicately and kindly, really, he handled the press. Tonight was a perfect example of what President Trump is capable of when it comes to peace through strength. You saw that strength. You saw that peace. You saw a unifying message. Yes, he's going to be himself. He's always going to speak his truth and talk as himself. And he's feisty and he's excited when he speaks about certain topics. And listen, he said when he was asked about being nice, you know, how he can handle things when people are saying, you know, maybe you should be nicer. And he said, look, they're not being nice to me. I have to kind of defend myself. I sometimes have to speak about what I see. And I tried. Right. I tried to do the best I could. I didn't put Hillary in jail when she got caught with a lot of criminal activity. I didn't think that was the right thing to do. He said that from back when he was elected in 2016. And even to this day, he's trying so hard to just battle for the country and fight. And every now and then, you know, you get punched enough, you have to speak up and you have to defend yourself. He's not able to do that with the court case in New York with Judge Merchan putting a gag order on him, but he is able to defend himself in other areas. And tonight, I think what he did so brilliantly and eloquently was he spoke to the policies of Kamala Harris and the policies of President Trump. And what he did was he showed you a stark contrast between the two, allowing for the public to make those informed decisions that are so necessary and to be able to recognize what a President Trump administration would be versus continuing on for another 4 years as we have been. Kamala Harris, of course, is the vice president now, but with Tim Walz as her vice president and her being president, we can expect to see much of the same as we've been seeing. And I think he laid that out beautifully tonight. And if you haven't been paying attention, this is a wonderful press conference to go back and watch. Make sure also that you listen up to this because the world is getting more unpredictable by the day. You heard it all tonight. We've got assassination attempts, as we saw. We've got rumors of civil war, an unstable stock market. And of course, we've got the looming threat even of bird flu right now. It's unbelievable. Did you know that there's actually a bird flu summit that's coming around?
That ain't new now.
It's actually reminiscent of the event 201 that foreshadowed the COVID pandemic. And so get this, the first topic on the agenda, listen to this, mass fatality management planning. Does that not send chills down your spine? It does for me. Here's the good news. You don't have to be scared, right? If you are prepared, the wellness company has created the contagion emergency kit, so you don't have to be afraid. They're packed with life-saving meds like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine.
Okay, I'll get into your infomercials. We ain't really trying to get into all of that. But yeah, Skinny said he not into politics. Listen, man, I can't believe he clipped this up and got me sitting up in here. This is what we're doing. Can't even believe it. Oh, does Kamala Harris have her? No, she don't have a press conference. Not yet. She's supposed to hold up. She's supposed to be speaking tomorrow. I don't think it's gonna be a press conference. This is gonna be she gonna come out and say what she got to say and then leave type of situation. Trying to see. Because yeah, even earlier today when she was on with the president, she said what she had to say, and then that was it. She didn't answer any questions. She didn't have that wasn't a press conference. I mean, yeah, that wasn't a question Yeah, that was a speech. That wasn't even no press conference. They didn't answer any questions. Press conference involved answering questions. So we can't call that a press conference. Vance actually had a press conference today. Let me pull that up real quick because it wasn't long. It wasn't super long. Hold on. He surely did. Right. And that's why Trump, what we just saw wasn't a speech. It was a press conference. And Vance had a press conference. So yeah, folks are asking for press conferences, not speeches. Hold on, let me find him because I actually watched it. What was earlier this morning? It was about 10:15 or so. Hold on. Yesterday. Oh, probably. Okay. Hey. In Pennsylvania. It was. Let me see. Yep, here it is. Oh.
It's great to be here. Hoorah, we got a Marine out there. God bless you. What do you guys put in the water here in Western PA? This is a hell of a crowd. Thank you, guys. It's great to be here. It's great to be part of VFW Post 92. I've actually got the card right here in my pocket. I'm officially a member, so this is not the last time you're going to see me. I'm going to come back to VFW Post 92, have some pancakes, maybe a cigarette, whatever, right? We'll figure it out then. Let me just say a few things here, and before I do, I want to, please take a seat, please. I think it's appropriate because this is actually the 3-year anniversary of when President Joe Biden got us out of Afghanistan in the most disgraceful way, and of course Kamala Harris was right there every step of the way. And because they tried to shut the airport before they got everybody out, one of the most catastrophic mistakes in the history of the U.S. military, totally unforced error from Kamala Harris, and a total failure of leadership. We lost 13 brave service members that we didn't need to lose, and that was 3 years ago. So before we get started here, I just thought it would be appropriate for us to observe a moment of silence, think about those 13 young Americans who died, and think about their sacrifice. Amen. Thank you all, and thank you all for remembering them. You know, a lot of you know my story of service, and a lot of you don't. So just talk a little bit about my service in the United States Marine Corps, what it meant to me, and how it transformed me. Hoorah! We've got some Marines out there. Of course, we're the loudest and the most obnoxious. Of course, that's what we bring to the United States military. I've been traveling around with 4 soldiers and a sailor, and you know. That's like the beginning of a bad joke, I think. 4 soldiers, a sailor, and a Marine walking to VFW Post 92. Well, let me just say a few things about that service. So I was so fortunate to have the Marine Corps.
You don't have a sit down. That's not a press conference. That's an interview, sir.
A directionless kid, and the Marine Corps really changed who I was. Now, the mamaw, the grandmother who raised me, was not excited about me joining the United States Marine Corps, enlisting right out of high school. She loved the Marines, and she was proud of this country and proud of what the Marines
we
fought
watching right
for.
now is
But like a
speech
lot of
followed by
a lot of
a
parents
press
and
conference.
grandparents of a lot of young people, remember this was April of 2003 when I enlisted. We had just invaded Iraq a month before, and she was worried about my safety. And I remember when the Marine Corps recruiter, I believe his name was Staff Sergeant Crafton, he was from the South because he had that real deep Southern accent. Staff Sergeant Crafton came to our house, and my mamaw said, if you step 1 foot on my porch, I will blow it off. And as nervous as I was about going to boot camp, I went to boot camp in September of 2003 in Paris Island. My recruiter said, listen, as tough as those Marine Corps drill instructors are, they've got nothing on that grandma of yours. So I was prepared in many ways for Marine Corps boot camp, but it really did have a transformative effect on my life. And I know that all of us who serve share this common bond of this is our home. This is our family. Our brothers and sisters in arms became like brothers and sisters in our actual families. And we're proud to serve this country. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve. And we don't like anybody who takes that service for granted. Ain't that right? So I think that, you know, the Marines have a lot going for them, and I honor every member of every branch of our armed forces. But the one thing that I think the Marines really do well is we have the best motto. I have a favorite motto of the U.S. military, and of course I'm biased, but Semper Fidelis, always faithful, right? You hear Marines say it all the time, Semper Fi. And to me, what it means is that Marines are always faithful to our country and to our brothers and sisters in arms. But it also has another meaning, which is that we always have to be faithful to all of the members of our military who served this country and did so honorably. And you heard Jim Banks talk about this a little bit, and I want to expound upon it because I really do think that Donald Trump exemplifies that motto because his government and under his leadership, the United States was always faithful to the veterans of this country, and that's something for us to be proud of. His record and his vision is a vision of always being faithful to those who put on the uniform. And he didn't just talk about it. It's important, of course, to honor our veterans and to talk about their service. He also put in place real policies that really benefited the veterans who'd served in our military. And I know, look, I love the VA. I received a lot of health care at the VA, especially in the few years after I got out of the Marine Corps. But we also know that sometimes the VA has those long backlogs, right? You spend a little bit too long on the phone. Maybe if you're trying to get a disability claim, it takes a little bit longer. Well, Donald Trump's leadership cut down on those disability backlogs. And when you had veterans who were unable to get health care because sometimes things were just a little too backed up, he promoted veteran choice, especially for our veterans living in rural areas. I happen to think that those who put on a uniform and serve those country, we've got to be always faithful to them. And if they need to see a doctor, we got to promote veterans choice to give them that ability to see a doctor. Isn't it just that simple? And I think this administration that we have now, Kamala Harris and now Tim Walz has joined the ticket. And by the way, I want to say we've got a great Congressman Waltz here with a T who has not lied about his service. And so everybody who's calling him, complaining about Tim Walz, this is the good Waltz with a T. It's Walz with a Z that we're going to criticize later today. But I want to talk not about Tim Walz right now. I want to talk about what the Harris administration has done to fail these veterans. They've actually tried to cut back on veterans' choice in healthcare. The disability backlog has gotten worse. Wait times at our VA have gotten worse. The veteran suicide problem is still terrible, and Kamala Harris wants to give Medicare and health benefits to illegal aliens. She wants to give first-class hotel accommodations to our illegal aliens. We've got 300,000 veterans who are homeless in this country right now. Let's take care of them first and leave the illegal aliens to their home countries. Always faithful is not allowing your veterans to sleep on park benches and under bridges while you bring in millions of illegal aliens and put them in the front of the line on health care and lodging in our veterans. And that's exactly what this administration has done. So I just want to make a simple pitch to veterans and to everybody who loves veterans or cares for veterans in this country, but especially here in Western PA. We have got to get back to a presidency that looks after veterans. We've got to get back to a presidency that is always faithful to the service of our veterans. We have got to get back to the presidency of Donald J. Trump. He did it already, and he's going to do it again if we give him another opportunity. Let's take care of our veterans and not leave them. Now, I want to give just a few shout outs here to some of the veterans we're thrilled to have join us today. And then I want to bring up Pat to speak a little bit about his service record and his incredible sacrifice. But let me just say, first of all, we had a few people speak before me. We have the great Representative Brian Mast, who has sacrificed a lot for this country. Brian, thank you for being here, man. Again, the great Representative Michael Waltz with a T. Thank you for being here, Mike. And of course, my dear friend, who I believe, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of your family came from Breathitt County, Kentucky, too. The great Representative Jim Banks is going to make the next senator from the state of Indiana. I also wanted to recognize the person who outranks all of us. So we've got to follow your orders here. State Treasurer Stacey Garrity, thanks for being here, Stacey. God bless you, and thank you for your service. She welcomed us and said that she was recently retired, I guess in 2016. So it's been about 8 years now. And then we all said, well, what rank did you get out as? And she said a colonel. And we're like, oh, crap, a full bird colonel. We got to be disciplined here. We got to take care of ourselves. But thank you, Stacey, for your leadership here in Pennsylvania. But thank you for service as well. We've got a great guy, Brandon Kraft. Where is Brandon? Brandon didn't make it today? Okay. Sorry to hear that. But I want to talk about combat veteran Sean Parnell, who is a dear friend of mine. Let's give it up for Sean Parnell. Sean is the, I hate to say it because he's a soldier. He represents the very best of America's spirit of service and sacrifice. He himself knows what it feels like, I think, to be under constant dishonest media smears, and he serves his country despite it. Sean, I'm proud to have you as a friend. Thank you for everything that you've done for this country, and you're going to keep on doing for the state of Pennsylvania. Then finally, I want to introduce Pat Harrigan, who is a great veteran of the United States Army. He was a Green Beret. He is a combat veteran, and he's going to be the next congressman from the state of North Carolina. Pat is just, he's a very, very impressive guy. He's one of the few people who makes me feel short. I think Pat's like 6'6", but a great, great human being, a great servant of this country. He did it already in the United States Army as a Green Beret. He's going to do it as a representative from the state of North Carolina. Pat, why don't you come up here and say a few words, man? Let's give it up for Pat Harrigan.
Well, thank you, Senator. And it's great to be here with our veteran family. I walked around a little bit and talked to a few of y'all, and some of you guys haven't served, and that's great. But to those who haven't served and are watching this now, I can appreciate that you might not understand why America's veterans across the political spectrum are standing up to sound the alarm about Tim Walz. I can appreciate how you might look fondly on his 20+ years of service in the National Guard. And I understand why it can seem like nitpicking when our veteran community reads his words and we scream stolen valor. I get it, and I don't judge it. Without serving and deploying, I might not get it either. But I'm hoping that at the very least, by the time that I sit down here today, you'll understand why we are so passionate in our united voice that Tim Walz is a coward who betrayed his men at their greatest time of need and is not fit to serve the United States of America as vice president. I want to start by sharing a story from my time in service about leadership. As a young lieutenant, I was called into a senior leader's office, and everybody here knows that's a place you don't want to be. But as he addressed me for the first time, I looked around and took stock of all the hard-earned mementos and memorabilia that were hanging on his wall of his office of a man that had served 20 plus years in the Army. And as he asked me questions, something that was on his desk caught my eye. Sitting there was this simple, nondescript framed picture of a young sergeant fitted in all of his combat gear.
No, there will be.
And the title at the top of the picture is, "This Man Pays for My Mistakes." And what struck me immediately was that picture was not facing outward as if to show others the picture. Rather, it was facing inwards towards his chair. And I asked him why he had this picture, and he said that it served as a constant reminder of the one and only purpose of his role as a leader. And in that moment, I learned one of my most valuable lessons of leadership, and it was a lesson that served me through my deployments in Afghanistan. I learned that a leader is a servant who places the needs of his men and women above himself. A leader is someone that shows up day in and day out, not thinking about his own goals, but about what is best for those under his command. A leader leads his team into battle from the front, not cowering from the back, or worse yet, quitting altogether. A leader understands that our country has placed its sons and its daughters, its mothers and its fathers, and its brothers and its sisters in his care. When a leader violates this trust, hell hath no fury like the men, women, mothers, and children impacted by that coward. The men and women standing in this VFW today have earned the right to be here. They have deployed to combat on behalf of a grateful nation. We have all served under good leaders and bad ones, and our experience has taught us to quickly spot the difference between the two. This ability to discern the quality of our leaders was earned with our blood, sweat, and tears, and in some cases, the limbs and the lives of our friends. And this is why we are standing here today. As the men, women, and family members who were in Tim Walz's unit have spoken out about his cowardice, the media has done its best to whitewash his errors. It was a misspeak when he said that he had gone to war, that he didn't, in fact, mean to accidentally print the wrong rank on the coins that he distributed, or that he may not have received the final paperwork locking his unit into their upcoming deployment to Iraq before he quit. We believe it is unforgivable to do what Tim Walz did. When, among others, the command sergeant major who replaced him, the mother of one of his unit's fallen soldiers, and the unit's chaplain are calling him a coward, how dare Tim Walz call it simply partisan attacks? And quite frankly, how dare you, the media, dismiss the men and women who actually know Walz's character? That's the thing about men and women who, like Senator Vance, have earned their membership as a veteran of foreign wars. Not one of us, we will not back down when we recognize a bad leader who will harm our brothers and sisters in arms. This is why we stand here today speaking out against Tim Walz. His actions have clearly shown that he does not care about the man who will pay for his mistakes. His own chaplain called him a coward. Think of that, his own chaplain. Tim Walz knew a deployment was coming for the men and women under his care, and he chose to be in the halls of Congress rather than have earned the right to stand here with you and I on this hallowed ground in this VFW. Tim Walz is the kind of person who continues to exaggerate not only up to the line, but well over it when it comes to what he did in the military. So to the media listening, I appreciate that you can simply write off a remark from Tim that included "when I deployed to war" as a misspeak. To those of us standing in this room, that cannot be a misspeak. It's impossible for it to be a misspeak. And I'll tell you why, because those words are sacred to us. But those are the words spoken by a man who chose to let those in his care fight on his behalf. And those are the words of a coward who is trying to hide the truth from the American people. So those of us in this room and in VFWs across America, we aren't going to let him get away with it, are we? We will continue to sound the alarm that Tim Walz cannot and will not be anywhere near leading our military. The only question that remains is whether the media will tell the truth or continue to cower right next to Tim Walz. Thank you all.
Wow. Thank you, Pat. That was incredible. And we're going to take some questions from the reporters in just a few minutes. But let me try to round this out a little bit. You just heard an incredible testimony from Pat. He talked about the people that Tim Walz had served with. And let's just summarize the truth. Tim Walz said that he carried a weapon in war. He never went to war. Tim Walz said that he didn't know his unit was about to deploy to Iraq when even his own press release at the time said that he knew exactly that. Tim Walz claimed to be a command sergeant major, even had it printed on his challenge coins, and he knew he never achieved that rank. And now Kamala Harris, showing terrible judgment, has decided that her way out of this political problem is to claim that she and Tim Walz are the victims. I think the victims are the veterans who are having their service disparaged because the guy who wants to be their vice president is lying instead of telling the truth. I think those are the real victims of what Tim Walz has done. Every single person standing with me has sacrificed something for this country. Some of us, like Brian, have sacrificed more than most Americans can possibly fathom. But every single one of us honors every veteran for their service, whether they went to war or not. So long as you did what this country asked you to do, you deserve to be praised for it. You deserve to have what this country promised to you actually given to you. This is not about disparaging anybody's services, including Tim Walz. This is about disparaging the dishonesty and asking Kamala Harris, why are you showing such poor judgment by standing by a guy who insulted our veterans and lied about his service? If Kamala Harris wants to lead this country, if she wants to lead the millions of active and reserve service members and the millions of veterans on top of it, she ought to stand before the media and answer why Tim Walz lied and why she's now trying to say that he's the victim, that we are somehow attacking Tim Walz's service. That's what Kamala Harris says, that we're attacking his honorable service. We're not attacking his honorable service. We're attacking the dishonesty about that service. That is not honorable. That is the height of dishonor, and Tim Walz should not be the vice president of the United States because of it. God bless you guys. Thank you all. And now let's take a few questions from the press here. Especially, we'd like to start with the local Pennsylvania press if we have some. And again, you can ask a question to me or any of my colleagues standing up here. Thank you all.
News that you've agreed to a debate on October 1st, and you're calling for additional debates. Can you explain what you hope to get out of those additional debates?
Well, it's not really what I hope to get out of these additional debates. It's what the American people deserve to get out of seeing the people who want to be their vice president actually debate. I just, maybe I'm old fashioned, but as the person who's asking the American people for the awesome honor and responsibility of being their vice president, I think I would have to go before the American people and make the case for why I deserve to have that job. And I think it's disgraceful that Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are running from every media interview, running from every reporter. They refuse to respect the American people enough to stand before them and actually ask them for their vote. So I think we ought to do as many debates as we possibly can. I know the President Trump has invited Kamala Harris to do 3 debates. She's only agreed to 1. Tim Walz, I guess we agreed to do a debate on October 1st, but CNN, not exactly friendly to me, much more left-wing than almost any other media station. CNN wants to do a debate in mid-September. And I said, yes, absolutely, because the American people deserve it. And one final point about this. Look, the Harris campaign is not running a political campaign. They're trying to produce a movie. She never stands before the American people without a script. She never talks to voters unless a teleprompter is right in the middle of them. This is not a person who we should trust to sit in a private room with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin and the leaders of America's, whether they're adversaries or friends. If you are afraid of a friendly media, and the media has been very friendly to Kamala Harris, then how can we possibly trust you to represent us on the world stage? The answer is we can't, which is why we ought to fire Kamala Harris, not give her a promotion. Ma'am. So I'll be honest with you. I first heard about these debates, both of them, yesterday. I imagine my staff was talking to CBS and to CNN before that. We really didn't ask or require much. We just wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to do a real exchange of views. That was my only directive. And I told my staff, agree to whatever we have to agree to, because I think it's important, again, that you stand before the American people and actually ask for their vote, not just pretend it's going to be given to you. Any other local reporters? Sir.
Before moving to Pittsburgh, I happened to work in Kentucky. Spent a lot of time in Breathitt County, including Jackson, where, of course, you spent so much time.
Sure.
Tons of people have ever met, I'll add. But it's also a region that, as I learned, has a lot of people who rely on government assistance. We were talking yesterday about how much you don't like handouts. So my question is, under a second Trump administration, what programs could those families expect? And what would be done to make sure that they can stay on their feet?
Well, look, I know a lot of people, and I grew up with a lot of people, including in my own family, who had to rely on government assistance from time to time. We don't criticize anybody for actually relying on assistance when they're down on their luck and they need it. What we do criticize is a government that has chosen to provide handouts instead of good job opportunities for American citizens. I think that, because look, fundamentally, and again, I say this having known a lot of people who have required these programs to put food on the table. Fundamentally, if you are depending on the government is always going to be able to control you in a certain way. Whereas if you are depending on a good job and an economy that's growing for everybody, then no one is your master. You are your own master. And I think that's the vision of this country that we should have, is that every single person controls their own destiny, writes their own ticket.
It's easier to just
you mentioned absolutely, Breathitt County, Kentucky is one of the poorest counties in the entire United States of America. We've seen a lot of economic opportunity decline in places like Breathitt County and places like Western Pennsylvania. Why? Well, for a whole host of stupid policies that our leaders have put in place. I mean, you have a president, Kamala Harris, she's the acting president, I guess, because we all know Joe Biden isn't home. But acting president Kamala Harris, who would rather buy oil and gas from Iran and Russia, tin pot dictators all over the world, than from energy workers right here in Western PA. Let's buy it from our own people. We got plenty of it in Western Pennsylvania. Let's allow these guys to get it out of the ground. But when you do that and you create economic opportunity for people, you bring down the cost of manufacturing, you make it easier for moms and dads to heat their homes on a cold winter night, you create the kind of prosperity and the kind of independence that we want to create. When you destroy economic opportunity, you fundamentally are creating people who are not able to stand on their own 2 feet. That's not what any of us want. I want everybody to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, but they're not going to be able to do it if Kamala Harris is dedicated to destroying the energy and manufacturing economy of Western Pennsylvania and the whole country. And that's what she's done. Final point I want to say on this is, look, Kamala Harris has fallen in love with the green economy. You hear talk about it all the time. It's the entire foundation of their economic policy agenda. What did Kamala Harris cast the deciding vote to do? To ship a lot of American tax dollars to buy electric vehicles that are made in China. Why don't we keep American tax dollars here at home? Why don't we build factories here in the United States of America? And if we're going to subsidize anything, let's subsidize the products that are built and made in America, not in communist China. Thank you all. Any, that's right. That's exactly right. You ought to be up here answering questions, sir. Any other PA reporters? Then we'll do a couple nationals too. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm Ryan, just for your interview. Just kind of wondering, could you maybe elaborate a little bit more on some of the benefits or policies that would benefit, veterans here, and maybe how that contrasts with your company?
Yeah, well, look, the first and most important thing is we all love the VA here. And 90%, 95% of the people who work at the VA are really good and solid people. But if you have people, and every bunch has a few bad apples, who are not doing their job, who are not responding to veterans' phone calls, you've got to be able to fire those people because they drag down the many good employees at the VA. One of the things, thank you, but one of the things that President Trump did is he made the VA more efficient by empowering the people who were doing the good jobs and disempowering and sometimes firing the people who weren't doing good by our veterans. You've got to do that to make the VA actually function. You can't have any agency that can't serve its own people, and the way to do that is to make sure it has the highest quality people. We want the highest quality people in the VA. We've got a lot of them. We ought to promote them, give them benefits, give them raises. The people who aren't doing their job, they ought to get out and do something else. That's number one. The second thing is look, I was in the Marine Corps from 03 to 07. So I remember when I got out of the Marines, and the VA was my main source of healthcare for at least a few years. The main complaint that you heard back then from veterans was we just don't have enough choices, especially if you're in a rural area where the closest hospital is an hour and a half away, the closest VA medical center is an hour and a half away. You got to give those people choice to get health care in their local communities. Donald Trump accomplished that in a big and profound way. He gave veterans choice, and Kamala Harris has been trying to undo it. In fact, Tim Walz, the person she selected because he was a veteran, to say nothing about his service record, Tim Walz actually opposed the legislation that gave veterans more access to health care, more choice in their health care. I think we ought to be giving veterans more choice in their health care, and if we do, that's how we stay faithful to the promises we made to them. Any more local PA? Ma'am.
Olivia Gloucester, WTHA News. And speaking with a lot of the veterans in our community, one thing that they tell us is that they are working in minimum wage jobs because
Absolutely.
they want to get their education on the battlefield instead of in a college. How do you plan to address the minimum wage in this country to help avoid wage disparity?
So it's a great question. I think that, again, the best way to promote rising wages among all of our citizens, veteran or not, is we've got to have labor markets that are tight. And one of the reasons why we have so many people scraping by on minimum wage jobs is that Kamala Harris has let in 20 million illegal aliens to undercut the wages of American workers. Get them out of here and give a pay raise to American citizens, not to illegal aliens. But I want to address something because he touched on something that's really important, which is the education component of this. And as all of us know, I mean, look, I joined right out of high school and I went to college afterwards, but we have served with a lot of very smart master sergeants and first sergeants and sergeant majors and command sergeant majors. Not Tim Walz, of course. He's not really a command sergeant major. He just pretends to be one on TV. But real people who do not have a college degree and have more real-world experience and more real-world education than anybody who got a four-year degree in basket weaving from a university. So we actually, I think, need to make it easier for veterans, and President Trump and I have plans to do exactly this, for the education that veterans get on the battlefield in their training to translate to the job market on the civilian world. And we do that And I think that, one, we stop discriminating against people who didn't go to college, but we actually promote the skills formation, skills recognition in our veterans. That'll help raise their wages more than almost any government program. So why don't we take just a couple more questions, and maybe we can take some from the national folks too. Taylor, just tell, who should I? It's bright out there. It's hard to see everybody's faces. Yep. Oh, here we go.
Corporations say abortion bans are bad for business because corporations are so desperate for cheap labor that they don't want people to parent children. Do you stand by that sentiment? And if so, what evidence do you have to support that claim?
Well, sometimes the evidence to support it is what people actually say. And look, I really do believe that we have to be more pro-family in this country. And I do think, I mean, look, let me give you a personal experience. My lovely wife is here. There's Usha. Sorry to embarrass you, honey, but isn't she beautiful, guys? You see her at the RNC convention. She did such a good job. But look, my wife is a brilliant litigator. She's a brilliant lawyer. We met in law school, and she's had an incredible career. But I think both of us would say, and I feel comfortable speaking for my wife here, that very often corporate America is not especially friendly to parents with young children, especially young moms with young children. And I think
Hey.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. How you doing?
Children as
I'm doing good, pretty much. Just
resources,
trying to get to this dang truck stop.
Okay, where are you?
Oh, I'm in right now. I'm in South Dakota.
Oof. Okay.
You know, I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere because ain't nothing out here really except farmland. But it's nice though. Can't lie, it's nice.
Okay.
It's like one of the most pleasant drives because really it's clear, so I could basically hit the hit full speed and just cruise the whole entire time without any issues. Traffic is basically love its distance. There's really never no traffic out here, so that's one thing I do like.
Okay.
But I try to give Dora a chance because I'm curious. I'm like, why do you call her hair so much? There's nothing that she's really stating or saying that she's trying to promote on the policies. And most of the time, most of her speeches is maybe 5 to 15 minutes.
Yep.
And I can't do it. I'm like, dang, it's not, and she's not really implementing anything. But today, I actually learned more policies from Biden than her. And I'm really surprised. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm actually shocked.
Okay.
And there's two that was cool, but the problem is the timing. They said, oh yeah, we're working on the prescription drug thing. Okay, cool. But it's gonna take it. They ain't gonna be able to pass it till 2026.
Yeah, that's when it starts. But my thing is, just in because I haven't had time to look up the full 10 drugs. The two that they named are not really heavily prescribed.
Yeah, right.
So if you're gonna come out with this, I need you to come with some heavy hitters. But see, they know that these emotional people ain't gonna take, 10, 15 minutes to find out what's going on.
Yes. And they basically still riding on Trump with basically what Trump did for the prescription drug thing because he's the one who implemented it in the first place.
Exactly.
That's what a lot of people don't know, but people don't like to research their politicians. That's the problem.
Child, what was I forgot what it was called that fast. Hold on. Hold on. Back sheet. Okay, now it's this new lower. Let me see. Drugs. Okay. So we got Eliquis. According to this, it says about 4 million people who are in Medicare who used this back in 2023. Jardiance is about 1.8. Okay. Xarelto. Let me go back. Eliquis is for prevention of blood clots. Jardiance is for diabetes, but they also have been used seeing good results for people who have, you know what I'm saying, heart failure, kidney disease. My mom was actually taking Jardiance for a little while, and she she had a lot of improvement with that. Xarelto, this is prevention and treatment of blood clots. 1.3 million people supposedly on there in 23. Januvia, which is for diabetes. I have diabetes all through my family, and I'm not one of them who take that. This is saying 843,000. What is this? Berzyga, the one that was talked, that was the one they mentioned. Diabetes, heart failure, and chronic kidney disease. The diabetes is kind of like an off-label use. This was 994,000. Ernesto, that one been around for a while.
Yeah, that has been around for a while.
So much for heart failure. My mom actually, she took that for a little while too. This is saying 664,000 people. Embril, that's been a hell. They patent about to run out in a couple of years. This is
I heard about that.
Yeah, rheumatoid arthritis and psoriatic arthritis. 48,000 people.
Only 48,000. That's it.
That's it.
Wow.
Now I love this right here. So when they was talking about the people with cancer.
Yes.
Imbruvica is for blood cancer. So we ain't talking about breast cancer, prostate cancer.
I never heard of blood cancer, but that's a new one.
I mean, that's like leukemia, like the different kinds of leukemia, all of that. That's what that is.
Okay.
But it's not for the hitters. 17,000 people.
You gotta be kidding me. I gotta be a higher number than that.
No, it's 17. Actually, this is the lowest number of any of the medications that's on this list. Then we got Stelara. I know y'all seen that. This is for psoriasis. And it's got a couple off-label uses. Psoriatic arthritis, Crohn's disease, and ulcerative colitis. All of those are off-label. 23,000 people.
Wow.
And then you got the FIA SP and the Novolog and the Novolog pens. All of those are insulins. My grandmother took the original Novolog, like in the vial with the syringe, and then my mom, like when she first got diagnosed, she used the pen. So I'm familiar with both of those.
Okay.
Both of those together was 785,000 people.
That's it.
That's all.
That's a low ass number, like for real.
This, but again, like I said, when the because they kept wanting to talk about the capping the insulin at $35, and then as Joe kept talking, we then found out you have to qualify for that. That ain't automatic.
Yeah.
So basically, if you found out so basically, if you found out you had diabetes today and you was on insulin, you ain't paying $35.
It's like how you remember back in the day, like when you in elementary, you had to get like when you had to get file the paperwork just to get free lunch.
I mean, yeah.
It's basically the same shit.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this. Of the cost of the medications, the one that had the highest amount of discount was the Januvia.
Okay. How many people's on Januvia?
It according to what these numbers say, the original charge was $527, and they negotiated it down to $113. But again,
$35.
That's how much they're paying for it. This is so this is not how much you gonna pay. This is how much they paying, and then whatever your deductible or whatever is, you're saying kick in.
Okay.
So yeah, but the thing is, that's only 843,000, and we don't know that of those 843,000 people who were prescribed it back in 23, one, that they actually filled it and took it, and two, they still on it now. Because again, most people on these the Novolog and the FISP and Ozempic, Ozempic, and what's the other one? It'll come to me. Anyway, them, not this what they talk about right here. But again, I mean, if this is a start, then okay, then it's a start. But again, if this don't start till 26, that means depending on who president, we're not gonna get any real numbers to probably about 28. Yeah. Unless Trump president, because you know he gonna be all over this if he let it ride. Which I think he would, just to see what it's gonna do, because you ain't gonna know until you let it run.
Well, he did mention that pretty much like for certain bills that they got passed through the House and the Senate, he's gonna let it, ride out a little bit. But if it's if it's not really beneficial, it's not really no good, he's gonna
You're right there. You ain't old enough for Medicare, sir. So this ain't really you yet. You ain't old enough for that yet.
So I mean, it makes sense, but
I mean, for me, if they had come and asked me which 10 should we start with, you need to start with the hitters. Start with the stuff everybody on, not just, if you focusing on this insulin, which is 11% of the population. But of the 11%, they ain't all taking the same one. It's like 20 different kinds of insulin.
I mean, it would have been better if they was able to do 10 in each category. That would have worked. That would have been better.
Yeah, because I ain't see nothing on there about blood pressure. I don't see nothing on there about Alzheimer's. I don't see nothing on here like about breast cancer, prostate cancer. You're saying the ones that be taking people out. I don't see nothing about that. I don't see nothing about can't see rheumatoid. I don't see nothing about people with nerve damage. Like, who's that popping? Oh, I don't see nothing about none of this. What's going on, D?
They only have one for mental health either.
No, ain't nothing yet. Nah, ain't no kind of Clonopin or Valium or none of that. None of that's popping off. Yeah, nothing for dementia. Nothing that you're saying calm them people down when they start sundowning. None of that.
That's embarrassing.
I just wanted to, I don't have much time. I jumped in real quick. I was listening about the insulin. I qualified for that because of my disability.
Right.
So I get Medicaid and Medicare.
Oh, for real? You went out.
Where I got Medicaid and Medicare because I got CareSource. And I think I got Medicaid on that because of my disability. I had to go through, channels and ask questions, and they make it very difficult for something so simple. But if you ask the right questions and you know who to call, then you could qualify for what I got. I had to pay a deductible on insulin. It was about $20. And then the insurance I was with at the time dropped that insulin because they said it had human growth hormones in it.
Yep.
I forget the name of it. It's been a while. So I got Monjaro, which I take once a week. Started out at 5.5, then 7.5. Now I'm up to 10, and I have all three in my. I got a little refrigerator in my room where I keep my medicine, my insulin, and stuff like that. So then I got Novolog, which is a long-acting insulin.
Yeah, that's
and I got a quick acting insulin. Unfortunate for some, I have more insulin than I need because especially with the Manjaro, I'll only take it once a week, and then my insulin levels are so low, I could take 20 units of long acting and be good for the day. I have to eat to bring. I'm type 2. I have to eat to make sure my sugar levels are right. So, um, because of my disability, I qualify for a lot of stuff. Some people may have to pay a deductible for. I still pay out of pocket expenses, like for my shoes. I wear diabetic shoes, so that's out of pocket expense. If I wanted to get wraps for my leg, that's out of pocket expense. There are some things that even Medicaid and Medicare don't cover. You still have to have out of pocket expense, and it could get very expensive. And for you to get it, yeah,
You got to go out. You got to come out of pocket for the socks as well.
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
that's not covered. It's called durable medical equipment, and a lot of durable medical equipment are not covered. For example, if I was to get a lift chair that it looks like a recliner, their insurance to pay for the chair, I will have to pay for the motor. That's how they work that.
Yeah, it
And
ain't
these things,
completely free.
yeah. Socks, diabetic socks. Like I have to get a compression. I can't wear it on my right leg, but on my left leg, I have to get a compression sock called it's the name escapes me right now. Um, but it's $100 a pair. It's if you want to go to the cheaper ones, you can get like 40, but they don't last as long. The $100 a pair, man, I can't. It starts with a J. Um, they good. They last long. They durable, but that's an out of pocket expense. So if you're on disability and you still got your other living expenses, rent, gas, electric, or whatever, and then you got out of pocket medical expenses, it kind of balances it out. Balance it out between not paying money, a deductible for my insulin. But if I want the shoes, last time I had to come out $60, and these shoes are $400, and the insoles are custom made, and for where I go, they custom make the stuff. So the shoes cost, man. I mean, they cost, and if the insurance don't pay for it, I gotta come out of pocket just for shoes or diabetic socks. Like you said, I gotta come out of pocket depending on who they are. You know, you could get them through your local pharmacy or Walmart, or you could order them from the health and the durable medical equipment places. I'm not dropping no names because they ain't paying no money. Um, but that stuff costs, man. That stuff costs. So the insulin I get no deductible, but for the diabetic socks, I just brought a pair, and they the wrong size, so I gotta buy another pair. I gotta buy another pair of compression stockings because they don't go all the way up. So I thought they was, but that's what I get for going to a cheaper brand. And the brand that I need costs $100 a pair, and I buy a pair every other month. And I'll get shoes. My insurance only pay for shoes once a year, so I gotta wear the same shoes all year round just to get the money's worth because I don't have the money to come out of pocket for another pair out of pocket, and that's where they get you. They help you on one end, and on the other end you gotta pay. You gotta pay one way or another.
a lot of sense.
You got to pay
Yeah,
one way or another.
keep in mind this stuff varies from state to state.
Yes, yes, that is true.
That's
That
fact.
is that is true. Like I'm like, what would I do if I go out of town? Like I go to North Carolina and I get sick and I gotta go to the hospital. Will they take my insurance? Because my insurance is out of state insurance. So that's another thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You would think,
I know that part. It varies.
Yeah, that's for any insurance plan.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, it's good for your state. Most of them, like if you something happens and you in a different state, you'll get like a discounted rate, but they ain't covering it in full. It gotta be
yeah.
something major, and then you gotta, you know what I'm saying, fill out, you know what I'm saying, requests and stuff for that, because initially they're gonna decline it.
Everybody has every insurance, whether it's state, local, or you work from your job or from your job. Every insurance has its own game, and you need to learn the game they play because they'll play it right in front of your face, and you don't even know it. I had that done to me several times, and once I learned the game of what they try to do, it's I'm telling you, once you learn the game, you'll see things in a different light. And it's all about money to these people. It's all about money.
Yeah.
It's all about how much money they can get out for you. I'm gonna tell you a story real quick. Then I gotta go. I gotta listen. Um, After my heart attack, I got moved around from retirement or recovery. Actually, it was a nursing home. I got moved around because I kept going in and out of the hospital. Then my insurance would not pay for me to be there if I wasn't there. So I ended up going to this place. I'm gonna drop the name because I filed a complaint with the Ohio Board of Medicine. It's called Majestic Care in Fairfield, Ohio, not too far from Middletown. So um, I had daily physical therapy. It was the first time I had my heart attack in November. I didn't start walking again till like December, late December, early January. My muscles were in atrophy because after my heart attack, I spent like 30 days in a coma, so I didn't even know. But anyway, I kept progressing out of their treatment plan. They discharged me from physical therapy. They said I didn't need it. They pulled out the catheter. I didn't have any IV drips anymore. And then here come a letter from CareSource they sent to Majestic Care saying it was dated February 14th that year that I was recovering from the heart attack, which was 2022. It was right in the middle of COVID. So here comes this letter from CareSource to them saying they will not pay for me to stay in there anymore. And I looked at that lady in the eye. I said, I need my discharge papers. Because with my discharge papers, I could take my medicine with me that I had on file there. From February 14th to February 19th, I asked for my discharge papers and they would not give it to me. They was trying to keep me there to switch my insurance to something else. Then they can, what these nursing homes do, and many people don't know, nursing homes are garbage. I would not put my worst enemy in there because how I seen firsthand and how they treat you is the way they treated me. But they didn't think I had a way out. So on February 20th, I said, the nurse's aide told me that I had a wound vac. I had a long story. I had a wound vac that needed the right pieces, but the nursing home wouldn't order the right pieces. They kept ordering the wrong pieces. And then, for anybody who got people in the nursing home make sure they got everything in writing that needs to be done, because if it's not in the orders, they would not do it, even though you may need it. So since they didn't order the stuff, I made a phone call. I said, come and get me. I told them when I got there in Majestic Care, in 2 months, I'll be walking out that front door. And I left the nursing home because they would not give me my discharge papers. I called for a ride. My ride came and got me. I took the stuff that I had with me, and they rolled me up to that front door. I got out of the chair and I walked out that door. It's all about money with these people. They play games with your money. The game that they were playing with me, they didn't think I knew about it, but I found out from the first nursing home. What they'll try to do is get you to switch insurance that pays for long-term care in a nursing home. If you get any kind of income, they'll take it and give you a $50 month allowance.
Well, you only get 30 here in North Carolina. Yeah.
They 50 here in Ohio.
Yeah, you get 30. Yeah. So that's the thing, Eric. Like, that's what they did to my mom. But like when my mom had her heart attack and her stroke, she wasn't working. So she didn't have any insurance. And she, you know what I'm saying, had been trying to qualify for Obamacare, but you know what I'm saying, kept getting denied. So, you know what I'm saying, we had, you know what I'm saying, she needed care, so we had to put it in there. So the first thing is when you get on Medicaid, they take any income, whatever you have, they take it. Then your assets,
any income,
your house, whatever you got, all of it.
Yes.
So had to do that.
I asked my grandmother, because before my grandmother died, she needed help around the house. Now my grandmother was so good with money. I wish I would have learned how she did things. She was so good with money. They would send her gold, platinum cards. She would cut it up and throw it away. I said, Mama, why don't you go into the nursing home? Because you need help. You need help. She said, no. They would take all my money. My grandmother was getting retirement money and Social Security money. She was set. She was set. She said, nah. I didn't understand then because I wasn't in that position. But once I learned that money game they play, no, don't ever. The good nursing homes cost.
You can't help it. You can't help it. Don't do it. Like my granddaddy, he's in the same one that my mama was in because they actually was across the hall from each other. He got 5 different checks rolling up in there every month.
That's crazy.
They take
and then they treat you like
so his Social Security, you know what I'm saying, his pension, he had annuities and stuff going on. He got 5 different checks rolling up in there.
They treat you like
that's why I'm trying to get him out. 5.
That's not cool.
No, it ain't cool. Yeah, he got 5.
They are. Do not put your love, or whatever. If you can help it, do not put your loved ones in a nursing home. They are better off at home. They got nurses that
2 miles, take exit 150 on the right onto I-90.
That very
in the nursing homes, they don't care. I've seen it for myself. They tried to do it to me twice. The first time they was doing it, they say, well, would you switch to United Healthcare? I was like, no, I just switched to Care Source and the open enrollment is over. And then that's when I learned that the game they played, I was like, oh, okay, you think I'm stupid. I'm watching. Because they did an assessment on me. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening because my mind was sharp, but my body wasn't working yet. And I'm sitting there listening. I'm like, oh, okay, I see the game they play now. Oh, my bad.
At
I
least
seen the
at least
thing
you
that
have a choice. You can't just change over your stuff here in North Carolina. Nope. They don't do that.
no, in Ohio, I think you could change every 90 days. Don't quote me on that.
Oh yeah.
Don't quote me. Now, I know you could do it once a year. I know that for a fact. But when I got switched to Care Source, the guy told me that if it doesn't work out for me, I could switch to something else in 90 days. I said, no, I've been trying to get back to Care Source because I'm familiar with with what they do. I'm not familiar with whoever my insurance is, and that if you can help it, the insurance game. You know, the way they jack up prices on insulin and medication and stuff. You know, I can't put that out there, but I didn't help people that needed insulin because I had extra, and they couldn't afford it.
I see.
They couldn't afford it, man. It was a time where I couldn't get no insulin, and I needed it. And this one guy at work, he gave me one of his, the same dose and it, same kind, everything. And I use the pens. I don't use the vials and the needles anymore. The pens, the pens are a lot better. But yeah, I just wanted to drop that dime. I gotta get back. I gotta finish what I started, and I'll be ninja listening. I was watching some of Dover's comments, and I would say this about Dover: learn your facts, present a tangible argument, but until then, you just repeating what you heard. You ain't learned nothing. Learn your facts. Come with facts. Present an argument. Have a take on things. But when you just talking out the side of your neck, ain't nobody really paying attention to the class clown. Because pretty soon it gets old after that. And with that, I'll be listening.
All right, well, we about to wrap this up.
All right.
Hey, that's one thing I wanted to tell you because this was happening a lot on a lot of channels too, especially about I guess you say politics, but it's even on random people's channels as well. That pretty much only why I asked over those tough ass questions because I've been noticing a lot in a lot of channels, and I haven't seen his name before in other channels. Basically, like Kamala, and they get paid just to be trolls. So it's annoying at times. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to listen to what the Democrats are saying. I'm listening to Republicans are saying. Then I'm like, okay, what policies they have so far? It's not on their site. He gave me a site to go on to. Man, that was all he mentioned what they basically, the speech they had today. I'm like, so the only thing they have so far is the lower prescription the prescription drugs, lowering down that. Okay, that's cool. But I mean, I did learn some things from Biden that he actually had better policies in his speech than Kamala and her dang running mate. And he actually talked a whole lot longer than both of them combined.
Yeah.
I was tripping because I was like, dang, they should have kept Biden, to be honest.
Yeah, but Joe got to rest up because Joe about to get disrespected at this convention because he's speaking Monday night.
Okay.
Come on, okay. When the last time you seen a sitting president speak on the first night of the convention?
Never.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah. But Joe will be on Monday and we will be here covering all of that live and in person.
And I mean, I gave Dover a few chances, but it gets to the point like, dog, okay, everybody's listening, trying to figure out who they're gonna decide for anyway. and you come over here with this BS.
Yeah, because
So
when you got to the when he was like look it up and you was like, what's the site? And then he just said Rutgers and you was like, well, I mean, is that .org or like which one? It's like 6 of them. And I mean, you need that. When he broke out, you need this much hand holding. I knew then. I said, see, he ain't ready.
then I asked him his age, and that's when he stopped talking.
Yep.
Because I'm like, okay, what? Because sometimes I be thinking like, if I'm talking to somebody that's young or they old, you know better.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be, you can't be that childish, that foolish just for you to say, oh, that's a press conference. Yes, it's a press conference when it comes to politics. Basically, you say your small little speech, whatever it is, for 30 minutes to an hour, but it's not like 30 minutes to about 40 minutes on the speech. Then they basically like, okay, I'm going to give you some time to talk to the anchors pretty much. So come up with your questions. Then pretty much a lot of times the news anchors be asking foolish questions, but there be some that be asking the tough questions. And that's the tough questions. You got to know how they're going to handle the situation. Mm-hmm. And as I've seen so far, at least on Trump's side, they actually answering the tough questions that people just really curious about. But when it comes to Kamala Harris and her side, we haven't got that yet. She's talking about the end of the month. Then she's talking about also as well for her policies going to be on her site supposedly.
Well, she's supposed to be speaking tomorrow on what it is she gonna do. So we gonna see.
Man, all I know is that she better talk longer than 5 to 15 minutes too.
Yeah.
Because I swear that's where we get. It's a crap show of 5 to 15 minute speech, not really saying too much. It's like, damn. I was really looking forward to more explanation or what other policies, because so far they offer me things that really is irrelevant. So why do I need reproductive rights?
Yeah, because I have reproductive rights. I have the right to reproduce or the right not to reproduce. I'm kind of, yeah.
And pretty much immigrants, and she wants to bring back the Dreams Act. That hasn't went away. So I'm confused there. We haven't eliminated the Dreams Act. So can you give me something else? Or give me more specific what you're gonna do. It's a mess. I'm not gonna lie, it's a mess. But I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt to see if they can maybe change my mind. Mm-hmm. But I think the only other thing that Dora was talking about, the natural forest and all that. I'm like, there's no politicians talking about that.
We ain't into that right now. We ain't there for that.
We're talking about what the issues are. The issues is this economy. It's crap. These
that part
taxes.
That part right there. Yeah. So we're gonna see.
People are struggling. Yeah, inflation. So I mean, like, the main issues, even immigration is bad. So, I mean, those are the issues right now. What you gonna implement to make things better?
Right. And all of this inflation went down 3%, but it's still up. If it's 22% and then it went down, it's still 19%. That's still too much. So what you saying?
Yes. Because I mean, even though my taxes that I paid this year was out of this world pretty much, and I used all my tax write-offs. I still had to pay $30,000. So yeah. I didn't like that, but I like, hey, I paid it.
Right. Yeah, no, we ain't got time for that.
Because, I mean, I try to keep my profits as much as possible. And, hey, I'm a taxpayer. I pay my taxes, all that other stuff. And, I want things beneficial that based how Trump was implementing, say he's going to knock down the percentage from 21% to 15%, I'm with it. All day.
Exactly.
And that's benefiting everybody.
Right. And my thing is, if you want to, you're saying you want to take advantage of that because it ain't fair for the business owners, then put yourself in a position to open you up a profitable business. You got a better chance
It's
of doing
fair
that
for
under
small
Trump than
business owners. That's what he
nobody.
has it for. He has it for small business owners for that bill, for that implement. Because there's a lot of businesses that's really small. Like even
Right.
mine,
Well,
it's small.
my thing is open up a real business and quit playing around with them lashes and all that bullshit. Open you up for
Yes,
real with some employees and get it moving.
I agree, 100%.
There's 20
So
of
I
y'all
mean,
selling bundles that market is flooded. Do something else.
yeah, I agree. And I mean, there's a few other things too that what Democrats is doing. They basically making fake ads for news
Yeah.
stories for you to click on it. And it's like once you do your research, it's hard. It's very hard now just to look back. It's like, can you really agree with them?
See, folks ain't trying to
Because
do no
you hear
research.
the lies. You're like, this person didn't say this. This person didn't say that. If I had to hear Project 2025 a billion
Right.
times from people, I'm like,
Right.
I know you a sellout raccoon right there, or you just believe in mainstream media. But our race is you can hide everything in a book. Nobody ain't gonna look. Oh, what happened?
Oh no, Thornton Township having a meeting tonight.
Oh, that's gonna be
Yeah,
man.
so yeah, I got Mashawn on. I was trying to see if it started yet.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, she talking. Hold on.
Tiffany Henyard?
Yup, she talking. Hold on. We're gonna wrap this
Shucks.
up. Hold on.
That's gonna be some mess.
She done risen from the dead. No, I was playing.
Hey, I got one more question for you, Dapper Don. This is out of my curiosity.
That ain't where we supposed to be going. Go ahead.
Okay, all the DEI hires, right? Do you think they're competent for their jobs?
Most of the ones I have come across, no.
Man, I'm the same right now because man.
Because I mean, if we was gonna go that route, why you didn't hire me? I'm actually competent.
I agree. You far more competent than the politician.
Okay, child, what is going on, child? Because this audio is horrible. Hold on.
It is horrible. I'm not gonna lie.
What's being said. Ooh. 2 days later. All right, I'm gonna have to concentrate. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But as soon as I find out,
oh my God, we gotta wait around for Jerry Jones to get through a conversation.
Yes, big sis. Yes, big sis. We do. Yeah. He's slow bobbing with this information. Listen.
Yeah.
Shot. Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and oh, that's sweet. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. When I find out what time Miss Vice President gonna be on, I will let you guys know. So make sure you got your notifications on. Anything else jump off, I will let y'all know. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for stopping by today for our coverage. And I will see y'all later. Take care. Eric, I see you on the other side over with Big Sis Bestie.
All right, for sure.
All right.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
I'm gone.